Welcome to Load Bearing Beams and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Valentine's Day, very important day for Lacey and I. Well, let me introduce it. I'm Matt Stokes. I'm alongside my sparkly, shimmery boyfriend who is...
Lacey Roth. I am boyfriend.
That's right.
And married.
You would stand by my bed for months before we knew each other, watching me sleep.
Tying your shoelaces together.
But in like a nice way. It was okay.
Your boners were adorable. Little human boners. Yes, they amuse me.
You gotta love when you find out somebody's been watching you sleep for months.
Crazy.
The things they heard.
Farting.
Yeah.
Constant farting. Okay, but Bella sleeps like the sexiest teenager you're ever. Like she could be painted by a person. What?
She could be painted like a person.
You know what I mean?
Let's bring in our esteemed guest because
Please.
We're finally doing it. We're finally tackling the big one. We're finally tackling the Twilight saga, and we have a pair of excellent guests from the Fiction Fixation podcast. We have Courtney and Rose. Hello, welcome to the show.
I need my soundboard.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, we put together this mega crossover for this occasion, Valentine's Day, to talk about the greatest love story of our time.
I think so.
Twilight.
Oh.
Yeah, for those who don't know Fiction Fixation, please tell everybody.
Well, guys, hello. So our podcast is Fiction Fixation, and basically every episode we do a full recap of a different movie.
I feel I've watched it. Like your podcast, you don't have to watch the movie to listen to the episodes. I want you to know that. Like I've listened to a bunch of episodes where I've never.
No, it's full of don't take us too seriously. It's full of dark humor. We're millennials, so we apologize for that in life in general. But yeah, it's full of dark humor. We like to say that we're delightfully unsophisticated. So
Like Hooters.
You did the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, aka the greatest movie ever made. What else? Like what do you? How do you choose what you're going to cover? What
Courtney does it. It's very eclectic.
So it is actually very scientific. It's whatever the fuck I feel like doing. So sometimes I'll start watching a movie and I'll be like, hey, I think this will be great. I'm going to do this. And then I'll start it and it'll be like 10 minutes in and I'm like, fucking boring. No. So it's whatever we've kind of vibe with at the time. Like our episode that we just recorded last week was a psychological thriller because we were spiraling. Yeah. So yeah.
We were in a dark mental space and we said we want to go deeper.
Can you tell us what it is?
Yes, it was Alice Starling.
Oh, do you know that?
No.
We don't know it.
Oh, it's Anna Kendrick.
Oh.
It's about an abusive relationship where her boyfriend is like really subtly abusing her emotionally and mentally, and she's like a nervous wreck. It really highlights a lot of ways that covert narcissists get away with
Yes, that sounds like my first marriage. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, we'll bleep.
Why are we bleeping that? First marriages suck unless you get it right the first time.
All first marriages, not this specific one.
Well, if you marry when you're 25 or younger, I think they usually fail.
Not if you're Stephenie Meyer, who married at 21 to a man who knew her when she was 4.
She met him when she was 4. That's cheating.
Okay.
Wow. A lot of lore just dropped.
Basically, he's Edward.
No, he's Jacob and she's Renesmee.
Don't make me confused. Wait, but that's what we can't figure out is how much older he is than her.
Yes.
We just know they've known each other since they were 4, but the way it was worded is he's known her since she was 4.
Yes, and his age is, I did a lot of Googling of Mr. Christian Meyer, a.k.a. Poncho, and I can't find his age.
Then that's on purpose. That is a lot of money going into scrubbing the fuck out of the fact that they had a very weird Edward Bella.
You know what? Challenge accepted. I will find his age.
Okay, good. Yeah, but I did a lot of Googling. I Googled once and scrolled. Okay, can't find it. Okay. But I did look at pictures of him, how old would we say he is?
The worst person.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into weird skull shape science.
Right. Okay.
Watch him be 200 years old.
Yeah, maybe.
He is a vampire.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's Matt's theory. It's this entire story is a way of making her feel okay about her problematic relationship.
Well, who says it's problematic?
I don't know.
It works for them.
Okay.
The only time a large age gap is acceptable is when one of them is immortal.
I think so. Yeah, because he can't help it.
Because he can't help it.
Yeah.
He can't help it. I feel like that's the thing. That's an underexplored thing in this series is
You can't help it. Oh no, I'm dying now.
I mean, none of their
Carl.
cultural references are going to be the same. Like, how do you relate to somebody who's 100 years younger than you?
But also, why do you want a 17-year-old? They're the most boring
yeah, he should
ever.
be dating like a 70-year-old.
Something.
Listen, no, 17-year-olds are not the most boring because everything is tragic and the end of the world. Everything is so deep when you're 16 and 17,
True.
even 18. Like nothing is boring ever because everything is such a big deal.
But the older I get, the less time I have for any of that
Exactly.
shit. If I was 117 years old, I just have no time for any of that nonsense.
I would be completely annoyed.
Well,
with Bella.
that's why they're not allowed to make immortal children because like
Fuck that.
the immortal children don't learn like and develop emotionally. So Edward is actually mentally stuck.
Oh.
At 17.
Okay.
So if Bella stays mortal, there's going to be a point in time where she's going to be like, oh my God, this guy is so immature.
Yes.
Okay, exactly.
Yes.
There we go. It's all okay.
Well,
it's good.
I will try to remember my point about what if it's coming. We got a big point coming, but I have this feeling where I say everything before we even fucking start the podcast, so I'm not going to do it.
All right.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, I want to get to everybody's history with Twilight. But first I want to plug our Patreon. We have patreon.com/loadbearingbeams. And coming up next week, we have our big 150th episode spectacular where we're finally...
Not on
Twilight's
Patreon.
one of the big ones. The other big one is Spice World. We're finally covering Spice World. Now, for our bonus episode on Patreon coming out February, you can hear Lacey and I talk about the Spice Girls 1997 VHS cassette, 1 hour of girl power.
Fuck. Yes, I'm going to orgasm. That
We
sounds
are going to
great.
be maybe doing a commentary or maybe just thoroughly discussing and dissecting.
Let's
it.
do both.
Patreon.com/loadbearingbeams.
Okay.
Okay. And now, all of our histories with the Twilight
So glad you have this
franchise.
photo here.
I think I'm probably the newest convert to Twilight of all of us.
You're gendering us. I'm just saying you're making some assumptions.
I am making some assumptions.
Okay,
How
you're
long
right.
how long has everybody been a fan of Twilight?
I started reading the books. I don't know how long they had been out, but I was 17 when I read the first book.
I was 22.
Well, like what year are we talking about?
Oh gosh, I don't even like 2003.
I read them in 2007, right? When the movies,
Mhm.
when the first movie came out, my friend's like, you have to read these. And yeah.
I did the same thing.
So I was correct then.
Yeah. Whatever.
Midnight premieres, baby. Midnight premieres, all of them.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'll go first because again, I'm the newest convert. Lacey was the only. Lacey and I have been together for about 15 years. It is like the only thing she gets nerdy about is Twilight, and so I knew she had this big thing that I'd never experienced, the Twilight Saga, because I had a very like, that's not for me. That's lady stuff. Finally, in 2018, we had been doing Load Bearing Beams for about a year, and we talked about doing Twilight. And like always, we set our goals too high and we're like, well, read all the books and watch all the movies and have one probably 45-minute episode talking about all of it. And so I get started. I read the first book. I think this is really poorly written and really annoying. But then I watch the first movie and like 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, wait, this is funny. I mean, not like funny like a comedy, but like this movie knows what it is. And I think the first movie made me realize like this is all operatic and over the top. And that lets me like kind of get into the tone of what all of this is trying to do. So
It is the essence of a 17-year-old.
well, so I watched all the movies. I think the movies are really fun. I think they're a lot better than the books, but I've read all the books too, and I have a lot of affection for all of it. So that's my history. Who wants to go next?
So I actually, I read all the books and then I had to wait for Breaking Dawn to come out. And I actually went to a midnight release party for the Breaking Dawn book. And this is a highlight of my life. And it sounds terrible now as a 35-year-old to be saying this. But I'm not ashamed of it.
Mhm.
I was 18 or 19 at the time. And I whipped the shit out of some 12-year-old little girl who thought she was going to beat me at Twilight trivia. Fuck that little bitch.
That sounds right.
So physically or mentally?
Right. Did you
Mentally.
whip her?
Mentally, I
Okay.
in Twilight, I beat
Yeah.
her in the trivia game.
Gotcha. You see, yeah.
I
Context is
mean,
important when you're
I-
confessing to a crime.
Mhm.
I went to all of the midnight premieres. Like I had a Team Edward shirt for the first one, and then we had Cullen baseball jerseys for the first one.
That's great.
And then I had a Team Edward shirt made for the Breaking Dawn Part 2 release. And yeah, like I'm like obsessed. I used to have the posters. Like in my first apartment, my husband and I had posters. They were mine. He just allowed them to exist.
I went to so many I basically every Harry Potter book.
You already did yours.
I went to the book release and I physically battled a smaller child just to get a copy. When Barnes & Noble ran out of the fifth book, me and my friends went to the Kmart across the street and there was another kid running to get the one copy. And I sped walked and got ahead of him and got it. By the seventh Harry Potter book, I realized we can just download the audiobook from iTunes at midnight. And that's what we did.
Oh,
it wasn't as fun. It wasn't as magical.
I also went at midnight to get my copy of the seventh Harry Potter book. And then I stayed awake for 36 hours reading it.
My girlfriend at the time did that so she could get ahead of me. And I really resented it.
Oh, do you know that both of them are authors as well? Like that's how they bonded over.
I did know that.
You did know that. Now you know it twice.
Yeah.
Since you brought up Harry Potter, I did want to have fun with my dyslexic confusion in that I know that fan fiction is associated with Twilight, so I always forget what so I think, okay, so Twilight is fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey, and no,
other way around.
I know, and then I'll go, wait, no, Twilight is fan fiction of Harry Potter, and so like it's those three things are connected for me, and I do not know why. It's a weird sandwich, and I don't always know where to put the cheese and the meat and the bread.
Well, watching the first Twilight movie and reading the first Twilight book, it really clicked for me. Of course, 50 Shades of Grey.
You have to.
Did this because this is just the story of a woman who wants to get dommed. So 50 Shades of Grey is just let's make the subtext text. Let's make you not have to do any of the work to see what's really going on.
That's also here. Harry Potter.
Also Harry Potter, yes. If you
I've
know how to
heard
read
that.
Which part?
Who wants to get dommed in Harry Potter?
Oh no, I just like to say that.
Snape
I was
and
kidding.
McGonagall.
Okay.
Snape. That sounds
Snape
good.
and
I would watch.
Minerva, please dom me.
You just want to do that fucking accent.
I'd let them both dom me at the same time.
Absolutely, my God.
The Snape train. Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord.
Okay.
Rose, what's your history with Twilight?
Oh, I thought I had said, I read it when I was really young, but I did want to add that I think I was 17 when I read Twilight, and I felt seen.
Yes. Me too.
I felt seen. I just felt, and so it's interesting when people say like the book is not very well written, and you can get into like the technicalities and the story devices and all these things, but ultimately Stephenie Meyer has communicated the story effectively enough for it to resonate with like the demographic that it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it hit for me at 17. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly how I feel.
Especially the second book. The second book, like people give that one shit and they don't want to like watch the movie because but it's like, no, that one is the one that makes everything else pay off. And it's probably the only one that's really relatable to actual people who don't have a vampire that is in love with you. It's like that kind of hurting is reserved for teenagers who don't have a lot of mobility yet. Like you're just this thing and you think you have an identity and then it goes away and you think you figured out the rest of your life and you're like, oh, that doesn't actually happen that way when you're this young, but you think it does. That like idea of like, I'm going to meet my true love now. As soon as I started having crushes, I always thought it was possible. I'd meet the one. And there's something about that book that's like, yes.
Yeah, I think she's a very, very bad writer. And and yes, obviously I've read it at age 30. So I'm like, boy, cut it out with the adverbs, lady. But even looking past that, like you do get to something very essential about how devastating it feels, like makes you ill to fall in love with somebody when you're that age. Like she really captured something.
And then you and I weren't able to be together when we fell in love until it was okay to be together. So like that was a special circumstance.
There was a treaty.
Where we had to get.
There was a treaty. He was your Edward.
The right president in power. But I'm saying when there's something to stop it and when it's so new, I don't know. She just perfectly encapsulated that. So my history. I'm not a reader. I'm dyslexic, but someone gave me the big fat book and I was like, all right, I'll open that. Ew, book smell. And then I read it and I couldn't get enough of it. And all of them were already in existence. So I read all of them and it was a big deal for me. I carried the book around. I was like, I hope someone asked me about it. Anyway, I'm reading things now. And then the movies came out. And of course I was like it took the movies a little while to like feel like the books. 'Cause I was so intimately world building in my head what these people look like. And I remember Rosalie being particularly a letdown. Like she just in the book is this like goddess and then she's just a typical blonde in the movie. But anyway, pretty much everyone else lived up to my thinking of it. And then the movies became more important to me. I just find them like a big like a release. I can't explain. And I didn't know I was a
They're
nerd.
my comfort movie.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you two about, because I know Lacey likes the movies. Being book readers first, how did you feel about the movies when they came out? And do you feel differently now?
No, I just I always feel like the books are just a different experience, and I talk about this all the time. There are obviously two different mediums, and it's impossible to feel like, yes, perfect, exactly, no notes. Like you're always just kind of like, oh, I wish they had, done more of this or done more of that. But overall, I remember enjoying the movie. I didn't have any huge issues with it.
I also didn't understand about wigs yet. If I'd known they were all wearing wigs, I think I could have gotten past a lot of the distraction of these beautiful things that all look. I'm like, why do they have such bad hairlines? Is that a vampire thing and a Forks thing? And then I understood. I think you guys told me about the wigs when we did the live together, and that was the first time I understood.
I think that when the movies first came out, I still have this tendency is to where I like my trash. Just leave me with my garbage and I'll be happy. And I still have that for things that are really nostalgic. So these movies came out and I'm just eating it up and I'm like, yes, oh my God, it's amazing. Now as an adult, it is comforting. It's my comfort movie. I put it on in the background when I need something to make me feel better or I need like noise. But now as an adult, I've been able to really separate to where the book is the book and the movie is the movie. And it's more like a based off the book, not an interpretation of the book.
It's funny though, learning about the production of the movie and when I read all the books and watched all the movies, they really, really emphasize this has to be super faithful to the books. And I can't think of a book to movie adaptation for a franchise that's closer than this. That like literally just takes what's in the book and puts it on screen.
Like I can actually, I can hear the words in my head, and they're not totally aligned with the script. But I'm like, I can feel the book at the same time. I just do want to just make sure the audience understands. I did go to Forks, Washington. I did get a high school Forks shirt. I still have it. I can't fit in it. From the actual high school, they sell them to strangers. We did go to the cafe the diner that's there, and they do have a salad bar that features goldfish instead of croutons.
That's right.
It was amazing.
But this is where I discovered this was pretty early in Lacey and I's relationship, about a year in. And Lacey had mentioned she liked Twilight, but once we go through Forks and she nerds out, I'm like, oh, this is like way more.
Well, the places are in the places.
Important to you than I realized.
I think I didn't realize it either.
Yeah.
I should have taken that cutout with me though.
No, I was going to say it is a very faithful adaptation and yet like it serves the movie, because sometimes when movies try to stick too strictly to the books, they're doing it to pander to the fans and then it just doesn't work for anybody else. And I felt like it worked really well for the movie. Like ultimately, and I think this is important for anyone who is watching Twilight, it's camp. This movie is camp. And what I mean by that is that it takes itself so endearingly serious.
Yes.
And that's what makes it unintentionally funny, as Matt mentioned. Like it is just kind of funny, but in a very endearing way. Like, wow, they're very serious about this.
Oh, see, I don't think it's unintentionally funny. I think it knows the level it's pitched at. And there's really like legitimately funny moments, like especially with the other high schoolers and with Billy Burke as Charlie, who I just think is so wonderful in all of these movies and is so key to making you understand what kind of story you're watching. And he's just like the dad off to the side. It's like there's some vampire shit or whatever going on. I don't know.
But it's exactly what Courtney was saying with that these years of your life, everything is so turned up and so important. You're living your milestones. You've heard nothing but what you're going to experience as a teenager, especially your senior year in high school, that it's like, God damn it, if all these moments are ruined and you're going to fall in love and then you feel it infatuation, they're new feelings. And it's just, you feel like the first person to have ever, it's like when you have an orgasm on accident and you're like, oh, I've never had one before until just now. Everybody should have one of these. Anyway, that's all it is. And this book captures it that way, and doesn't just capture it, brings you back there. I feel like a schoolgirl when I read the shit. And that's how the movie feels. I'm like, oh, like
if they could find a way to bottle teenage angst.
Jet fuel.
I would literally bathe in that.
I was gonna say oils,
okay?
an essential oil.
Like,
thanks.
I miss the way everything was so urgent when I was 16 and 17. I miss that. Like now at 35, I'm just like, okay, like, we live in a depressive shithole society.
Right.
Why do I care?
I'm too aware.
Like I'm too aware of, I'm too aware of things now. I want to go back to being ignorant and having everything in my life being the center of my life.
Right.
And being that oblivious.
Any person though can only actually handle feeling like a teenager for the amount of time that you're a teenager. It's just too much.
It's too much.
You have to grow out of it because it's just too much for anyone to feel.
No, see, I raw dogged my teenage years with no Lexapro. I have Lexapro now.
That's true. I did
think
too.
I can handle it.
Yeah, they're right. Oh man, me without depression and teenager, that could be a whole fucking new thing. You're so right. Not until my dad died did I get on the old antidepressants.
Well, let me ask one more question before we get to the history. This movie is, well, do you guys have a favorite movie in the series? Do you think of them as individual movies? Or are they all just one piece?
I think the first one might be my favorite. I feel like it's the most atmospheric and like really poignant one.
I think Eclipse is my favorite.
I'm not good with the names
That's the
of
third
them.
one.
The third. Okay, I think
yeah.
so the fourth one is the one with the body horror where she's pregnant the whole fucking time.
That's the one where she's on a honeymoon for 90 minutes and they're
Wait,
on
but which one is when they fuck? The third or the fourth?
the fourth.
Well, then that's my favorite.
That's the worst one though.
That is objectively the worst one.
That's
I just love that
that is we're making two movies out of this shit. Don't shut up. We have to make two movies. Doesn't matter if nothing happens.
Then I'd probably go 1, 3, 4, 2. I don't know. 2 has a special place, but it is a different mood.
I think that the first one is my favorite. It's the one with the most personality.
Yeah.
I think Catherine Hardwicke, because I watched her movie 13 and then watched this, and I saw how much she brings and how different this movie looks than the others and how different it feels. And then I read a lot of things that suggested that some in entertainment said, hey, let's cut that shit out. This needs to be more normal.
Right. Well, they definitely,
no.
Yes. And they definitely made
Edward, they made Robert Pattinson like tone it down.
Right. Because all of his weird shit was intentional.
Like, hey, can you be more boring from now on?
Right. And less
yeah, and I think that's a shame because that's what makes this movie so special.
I loved how weird and jumpy and like kind of awkward but hot. Like, I know I'm hot. It's meant to lower you.
Yeah.
I'm hot. My body.
He acts like, okay, listen, this is going to sound terrible for the analogy, but I think we're all going to vibe with it. Edward in Twilight, the movies, acts like Elon Musk.
Okay.
Like his mannerisms, the way he kind of is awkward and talking.
Well, he's on the spectrum.
Bella.
Right.
I'm Edward.
It's ruined for me now. It's ruined.
You can't place the accent.
Right, the accent, because he's a British actor doing American, but he's 140 years old. So you're like, is this on purpose? I'm not tracking. He's Madonna, just a muddled.
It is weird. And it's like, oh, are you like, did you just arrive on Earth?
Right.
Is this the first time you've interacted with somebody? Because it fucking looks
They
like
both play it as if they're aliens.
Yes. And it is the first watch
description
where I feel like Bella is on the spectrum. I mean, there's tons of loner stuff and like liking that her dad is quiet. He's quiet too. He seems it. And I mean that in a loving way. They both definitely read autism
absolutely
to me.
read it. And I'm sure Stephenie Meyer did not intend that, but you can certainly read it that way.
I think it's more in the performance. It's just how they chose to perform it, because I don't think it read like that in the book at all.
No.
I don't think it read so.
She just seemed lonely in the book, not uncomfortable.
There's just nothing on the page to play. She has.
They don't.
Her only
say
personality
anything.
trait is she's clumsy.
Right, and she cracks a joke. And
well, and people make fun of how twitchy Kristen Stewart played this character, but like as if that wasn't all of us at 16, 17.
Mm-hmm. I did not realize. Yes. Sorry.
I try to have a conversation with my 17-year-old nephew, and it literally, I feel like I'm talking to Kristen Stewart. Like like teenagers are just so awkward.
They're weird,
When they're talking to adults.
I know it's no, she gets it just right. And the best thing by far about this series is they got basically the two best actors of their generation somehow.
Who actually had a relationship, which is always my favorite when that happens.
The history of Twilight.
Dazzle us with the history, Matt.
Okay.
Jesus.
So
It's a porker.
This story starts, of course, in 1826.
Oh, gee, you're taking us all the fuck back.
We are in Western New York, and a popular activity in the area is called glass looking. And in this, a wealthy benefactor finances a small expedition. We go out looking for treasure in the hills of Western New York. And this is, of course, a grift. But one of the more prominent grifters of these treasure hunters at the time, a 20-year-old man who we're looking at on the screen, gets arrested in Bainbridge, New York, and is accused of being a disorderly person and a fraudster. But this was just the beginning of a long and storied career for this young man, Joseph Smith, who claims to have received his first vision from heavenly messengers at age 14. In Western New York, would go on to locate golden plates buried in the hills from which he transcribed and composed the Book of Mormon.
Why does this have to do with Mormonism?
The Book of Mormon, which of course tells the story of the early Israelites who left Jerusalem to move to America around the year 600 BC. And then Smith then took his followers. They left out to find a new Jerusalem somewhere in America, eventually ending up in Missouri, where Joseph Smith dies, and then his followers, under the leadership of Brigham Young, eventually immigrate to Utah. They settle permanently. They joyfully celebrate their polygamy. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is founded, blossoms today, has more than 17 million adherents, and it is into this church that, on Christmas Eve of 1973, Stephenie Morgan is born into a large Mormon family. And at the age of 21, she marries Christian Meyer and becomes known as the thing we all know her now as Stephenie Meyer.
Okay, wait, that's all you had to say was she was Mormon. Yeah, he was definitely 50 and she... Okay, I can say that. I can say it if I want.
Yeah, but you understand the reason I said it is funny?
Okay, no, that's amazing. Yes.
And there is a great article that I will link to in the description. I've always known this theory that Twilight is about the story of the founding of the Mormon Church. And I was always like, I don't see it. But I read this article that like really opened my eyes to it. Basically, this guy, John Granger, he's like, Carlisle Cullen is Joseph Smith. And this is about like a son of Joseph Smith having a romance with some girl who they then convert to Mormonism. And apparently,
and once you break the seal, that girl's no good. You got to seal her back up or... Yeah. The virginity stuff just makes much more...
Sure. Well, I mean,
I always knew it was religious, but damn it.
It's the seal of freshness.
Oh, yeah. I say it's unfresh. If you seal that shit up, you need to let it breathe.
No, I've always known, like, obviously this is like a conservative Christian story, and like that's okay. That. It's okay to like conservative art. Often conservative art is very interesting, but I didn't know about the Mormon specifics.
I'm saying that that adds a little bit of darkness to it for me because I went through the whole like WWJD bracelet thing and then the idea of a promise ring. I mean, there's always that like wave of we're going to be virgins till we get married shit that happens at some point during high school. So like, I know these teens.
Wait, is if we're going off of this sort of narrative, okay, I'm sticking with Matt's sort of timeline here with his ideology on this. If that is the case, does that mean that the vegetarian vampires, like vampires, are Christians, and then vegetarian vampires are Mormons?
You got it exactly right. Yes, that is exactly the case. And in this, yes, and the Volturi are the evil Catholic Church.
Yes, that makes sense.
And I don't know what the werewolves would be, because then there's a thing in
Pagans.
In Mormonism, Native Americans are important to Mormonism because the idea is that they are the descendants of the ancient Israelites.
So like Jewish people
but in
to
Twilight,
Christians.
there are actual Native Americans. So I don't know how that. Anyway, this author says the series ends when they bring up this South American indigenous vampire who represents like proof that vampires and humans can co-breed or whatever. And the guy says, like, this is like a Mormon fantasy that we will get proof that Native Americans are descended genetically from ancient Israelites. And that was the one that really kind of creeped me out. Bella here is like a modern American woman who realizes I can find happiness in the Mormon church. I can get married young, have a lot of hot sex, and live my happy life, you know, with a very big extended family.
And live my eternity.
So I knew the Mormon touches, but I thought they all had to do with celibacy and all of that. But that actually, the whole like the vegetarian vampires being Mormons.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And you see like the Cullens, they don't talk to any of the other kids at school. They only hang out with each other.
Right.
Which is very much, I mean, that a lot of religions do that, but Mormons.
Yes.
You could see them. They have the Mormon table at school.
Right. Well, and, they always talk about it as though it's like it's self-preservation to get close to any of these people or to accidentally make relationships with somebody that you might have to eventually explain why you disappear after 4 years or whatever it is. But like getting close to anyone it won't work because then you'd have to tell your secret. Mm-hmm. Or really hurt that person. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, hot train. I can't take this. Who's the person in the middle?
That's Stephenie Meyer.
Get out of here. Looking good, Steph.
My attitude
She's pretty.
Yeah.
The previous screen.
That doesn't look like her. She's at the bar.
Appearance in the first movie, sitting at the bar of
Typing.
the diner. She's writing her next hit novel, The Host, probably. My attitude toward Stephenie Meyer without really knowing anything all about her is like, oh, she's some conservative crank. But I've read a lot of interviews with her recently and listened to some, and I gotta say, I kind of like her.
Okay.
So this is, sorry guys, there's going to be me reading a bunch of quotes.
Let me just say though, she loves a person with an angular long face. Look at this group. They're like Easter Island over here. Those are some long faces. They're hot.
Bones could all cut through stone.
Look at that.
I've never seen Stephenie Meyer look more hot than she does in this picture.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
The hotness is rubbing off on her. No, she's a good-looking woman.
There we go.
Okay.
Fine-looking woman. Real peace.
Matt, what happened there?
So
he hit puberty.
Sweating.
This is from a 2013 profile of Stephenie Meyer in The Guardian by Kira Cochran. So, quote, I ask whether she's anti-abortion. Well, I think it's the fourth book. There's like a subplot about, should we abort this vampire baby that's going to kill you? No. And it's like, well, clearly she's anti-abortion.
My baby.
Okay. So this, journalists ask her, quote, I ask whether she's anti-abortion. And she says, you know what? I never talk about politics because that is one of my pet peeves when people with any measure of celebrity get on their soapbox and say, you should vote this way. First of all, celebrities don't know anything about real life. They live in an ivory tower. I lived in the real world for 30 years, enough to know I'm not in it now. End quote. So honestly, that's one of my favorite things I've ever heard a famous person say, to acknowledge you shouldn't even go to me for my political advice. I don't live in the same reality you live in. I have no idea how people live their lives anymore. I used to be a real person, but now I'm a billionaire. And I just wish more people would be that candid.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, it's clear she's anti-abortion, but she's not.
What really clever way to skirt
give
that.
up the bag.
Listen, the book speaks for itself, right? So But that was a good response from her, because I think so many times celebrities and famous people, they're just dying to still be relatable. And it's like, stop. You're
Right.
not
Yes.
relatable anymore.
Right.
Yes, you can't be.
Like, she could have bust out her hometown story in that moment if she went, I used to be friends with a girl that it's like, that's very boring. And you don't get to have both. So like, acknowledge your privilege, point, and don't engage with this conversation. Check. Great. You're not trying to have both.
Yeah, just saying that makes me think like you're probably more of a real person than most celebrities. Okay, so she grew up in Phoenix, attended college at BYU, the Mormon University, got her BA in English literature, but said she never considered becoming a writer professionally. When she had her first child, she decided she wanted to be a full-time mom. And then there's the famous origin story of Twilight. She tells it all the time. I'm quoting again from the Kira Cochran Guardian article, quote, "Almost 10 years ago, as a young mother in Arizona, she had a dream about an average teenage girl and a beautiful male vampire sitting in a meadow, lost in conversation about the difficulties of their relationship. The specific problem was that if they became too close, if they gave in to the girl's intense desires, he'd hurt and potentially kill her. Meyer wanted to remember the story, but was struggling with her small son's relentless needs, so began writing it down for safekeeping. It was the first story she had ever put to paper. A modest woman, a committed Mormon, she loved books, had always conjured up stories, but had previously thought the idea of writing anything herself would be presumptuous. That story became Twilight, the first of 4 books in a saga that has sold more than 100 million copies, blah, blah, et cetera, end quote. So that's had the dream, started writing it down, and then went out to her sister who encouraged her, well, take this seriously, try to actually write it. And that dream she turned into what is chapter 13 of the book, which is the sequence where, Edward it goes into the sun, look, I sparkle, and starts explaining everything. And I would say the best scene in the movie, the best sequence in the movie, I think, the most captivating. And then she finished the book, wrote to a bunch of literary agencies. It worked. She got a 3-book deal for $750,000, and it was off to the races. All right, the film rights, but before the book was published, the first book is published in 2003, right?
I'm riveted. I don't know. Okay.
The film rights were sold to Paramount before the book was actually published, and they wrote a draft of the screenplay. And here's a quote from Stephenie Meyer in 2008 describing that draft of the screenplay. So this is a screenplay they work up before the book has come out, before anybody knows what this is going to become.
The first book. Right. Okay. So they're that. I mean, they know right away that it's a parallel project.
Yeah, well, so I mean,
interesting.
Tons of books get optioned for movies and then never go anywhere.
Right.
It's like, we're just gonna.
I just want the option.
Yes, and then somebody will write a script, and the script they wrote was nothing like the book. So this is what Stephenie Meyer said. Quote, "With the movie thing, they came to me about 6 months before Twilight came out, and I knew that it could go either way. And actually, statistically, it goes the bad way more often. But what pulled me through was the idea that if I could just see it on the screen, with one scene right, preferably the meadow scene, that was what I really wanted, and I felt it was worth the risk. It was touch and go. There was another script. They could have filmed it and not called it Twilight because it had nothing to do with the book, and that's kind of frightening. When Summit came into the picture, they were so open to letting us make the rules for them. Like, okay, Bella cannot be a track star. Bella cannot have a gun or night vision goggles, and no jet skis. Are you okay with that?" And they were so cool, end quote. Yes, in the original draft, Bella is a track star. She has night vision goggles. She likes jet skis.
Guys. Wow.
The project.
Hopefully someone burned that with fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see
or
it.
put it in a museum.
Summon Entertainment purchases the project and turnaround. Now Twilight-mania has taken off, so they make the pitch, hey, we'll do whatever you want. We'll be as faithful as you want. They go ahead. So Summit is a production company that's trying to ramp up into being a full-fledged studio. And on the success of Twilight, they're able to, basically they leverage getting purchased by Lionsgate. Okay. To direct. First they hire screenwriter Melissa Rosenberg. She writes all 5 of the movies, and they hired to direct Catherine Hardwicke, who was 52 years old at the time. She was a very successful production designer in Hollywood. She did production design for Tombstone, Tank Girl, Three Kings, and Vanilla Sky. Wow. And then, so she's just one of the most successful production designers in the industry. And then in 2003, she had her directorial debut, 13. Has anybody here seen 13?
Yes, I watched it a long time, probably when I shouldn't have watched it.
Right.
It's kind of a disturbing film.
Yes.
I watched it for the first time 2 nights ago. It is
No.
it's an excellent movie. It's really great, but it is very, very like punishing to watch. Especially, we have a 14-year-old, but I was like, my 14-year-old's good. It's not going to turn bad like this bad girl. But so the story with that movie is Catherine Hardwicke is in a relationship with a man who has a daughter. The daughter is Nikki Reed. She stays close to this girl even after she breaks up with the dad. But that girl has like sort of troubled family life. And at the age of 13, Nikki Reed and Catherine Hardwicke together write a screenplay about her life, which gets turned into the movie. Nikki Reed in the movie plays the bad girl best friend, and Evan Rachel Wood plays the movie version of Nikki Reed. Nikki Reed is also in the Twilight movies as Rosalie. And this movie makes a lot of money, $10 million on a $2 million budget. Holly Hunter gets an Oscar nomination. It's a great movie. And it was so interesting to watch this back to back with Twilight and see how many through lines there are stylistically, thematically, how much they look and feel and sound alike. Like 13 is shot documentary style with handheld cameras. It's shot digitally. Twilight is on film, but the first Twilight has so much handheld camera. The camera is moving constantly. So it's just so interesting to look at the movie that way. So she followed that up with Lords of Dogtown, story about some skateboarders. It was a box office flop, but it's sort of a cult classic.
Yeah, I remember liking it.
And then she gets hired for Twilight, but then not brought back for the sequel. And she said at the time they had a crazy production schedule. They released one Twilight movie a year for 5 straight years, and that would be very, very difficult for anybody. So she said she just couldn't do it right in just basically a few months. So they get Chris Weitz for the next movie. They get David Slade for Eclipse, and then Bill Condon does both Breaking Dawns.
Are they worried about the aging of the actors, or to do it so fast?
I think it's we gotta get while the getting's good.
Yeah, they just probably think the audience won't know the difference if it's shit.
YA, I mean, the history of YA is like these things move really fast.
Yeah.
The audience moves on very fast.
I don't know. I feel like this really stuck. I feel like this caused a bunch of YA that was very fast.
The Hunger Games kind of took over Twilight by the end, and then the Hunger Games burned out really quickly too.
I think it lives on forever.
Well, yeah,
I can name those two things. See?
Yeah. I'm just saying this is how they were thinking about it.
Right.
Harry Potter's kind of an anomaly.
I think that they did the movie so fast because they didn't want the actors to like look
right
older. I think that's why they did the Twilight series so fast.
It had to be part of it.
With Harry Potter, there was a huge gap where they stopped filming when the boys were going through puberty and stuff like that. They actually stopped filming just because like their voices and shit were unreliable.
Yeah, they'd still get 2 years between movies for that, and those were like, I think the Twilight movies look worse the farther they go along. This first movie has very little CGI. It's shot in real locations. I think it looks really good. As they go along, there's way more green screen and way more CGI because there has to be because we got a deadline.
Oh, right, plus the wolves.
Well, yeah, that too.
It's interesting that the director, made these grittier movies, and because you could argue that influence is there in Twilight. It's a very atmospheric movie, even though it's all about angst, but it does have like this edgy feel that kind of doesn't really click with what it actually is. But you're like, man, this feels like something edgy is happening. Like you buy into it.
There's a lot of murder. I mean, people are dying, and you're dealing with family dynamics of custody and shit, and I mean, I feel like it is kind of teenage years are fucking garbage. Plus, add murder.
13 is so good at observing what real teenagers are like, but she's also great at observing kind of a working class family and a parent who's not perfect but is trying her best. I see a lot of similarities between Charlie and between Holly Hunter in 13, and I think that she really brought a lot to the table for the whole series, even if she only worked on the first movie. Just briefly about the actors. Kristen Stewart was 17 when they produced this movie. Lacey, she's 5'5".
Thank you.
First big role was in Panic Room, David Fincher's Panic Room. Jodie Foster and David Fincher said they could tell right away this kid's something special. She did a lot of stuff like Zathura, In the Land of Women, and Into the Wild, and then Twilight's the big one in 2008. Robert Pattinson, meanwhile, 21 years old at the time of production.
Fucking, is he a goddamn wiggle?
He's a wiggle,
Looks
yes.
like he's in the Wiggles. He looks insane.
Matt, that picture, you did him dirty. Come on.
He did it to fuck
I searched
me.
Robert Pattinson 2001.
And then you picked the ugliest picture with the most heinous haircut.
It looks buck wild.
Born to very wealthy parents in London in 1986, Lacey didn't know he was British. So when I pointed out in the movie when his British accent slips out, she's like, what are you talking about?
Blimey.
Before Twilight, the only roles he had were Vanity Fair,
The Wiggles,
with Reese Witherspoon, but he got cut out of that movie, and then Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, playing Cedric Diggory. And then he gets in Twilight, and basically both of these actors, after the Twilight franchise, have done a great job using their star power to get like art house movies made, to work with some of the most interesting directors.
They knew they needed to shift.
Yeah.
You like immediately have to break out of that.
Wanted to run away from that kind of fame, and Robert Pattinson is.
Listen, nobody hates on Twilight like Rob Pattinson.
Oh,
hates
really?
on Twilight.
I think he had a bad time, not just with the fame, but with being told, "Hey, stop being weird in the movie."
Yeah, like he was really trying to do something, and now you can tell them that he actually was fashioning himself after a young Nicolas Cage. That was, and when you know that, then you can see it while you're watching the first one. And for them to be like, "You're doing a lot of acting. If you could just not,
and
you're the face, my man. You're the face."
And as the series goes along, like Edward really falls into the background.
Yeah.
In the last movie, like there's a part where they make you think he's dead, and I didn't know that it is at the end of the first movie, the final movie. Spoiler alert: they have a big battle that turns out it's just a vision, and Edward dies. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Edward can die. Like that's how little it seems he matters anymore. Anyway, that's the history of Twilight. All right, the Twilight Saga, of course, opens with a deer getting hunted.
But why?
Because, of course, the deer and the vampires.
She's a lamb, not a deer.
She's a deer, but also she's a lamb. And then we meet Bella, and we get to hear her finally. I can't bring myself to regret my decision to leave Phoenix.
You're going to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
The way they talk about Phoenix, it now makes sense that Stephenie Meyer's from Phoenix. Is like, I can't leave the giant sprawling metropolis of Phoenix. And
It's gorgeous.
I mean, yeah.
I'm going there in a month. I'm excited.
She goes over to Forks, Washington, because her mother married a new man and she wants to go live with her dad. But also it seems like her mom maybe tricked her into it without necessarily. Well, I kind of read it as like, yes. It was her decision. She wanted to do it.
Well, I mean, she married a baseball player who travels, and you're newlyweds, and yeah, I think you can kind of she seems like an open book kind of mom. I can kind of relate to that. So yeah, no, I'll stay here with your stupid ass. No, that's fine.
Well, also look, Renee is this like wild free spirit who seems very extroverted, and Bella's probably here like, I could probably go live with my dad and just be left the fuck alone.
Yeah, she's a hover, and that is not Bella's style.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a thing about like she had a baby very young and probably like before she was ready, and now is like, well, now I get to like have fun and live my life. So yeah, you may not be ready to move out, but I'm kind of done with you. So can you go live with your dad?
Oh, and in your senior year of high school, what a dick fucking move. I'm just saying, don't move anybody their senior year of high school.
She's a junior. Well, she's a junior.
She goes to prom.
As a junior.
Oh, right.
I'm a junior. Edward's a junior.
Shut up. Fuck, whatever. Semantics. Go on.
It's still a big change.
Yes.
But Bella and her dad definitely are more of a vibe together.
And very
along
yes.
the same lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is where we meet Billy Burke as Charlie, who I think is the MVP of the entire series. This guy rules. He plays this character so well, and he's such a welcome kind of undercutting of the operatic, like over the top teenage emotion of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But what I love about this movie especially is the way you see their relationship grow over the course of the movie without them saying anything to each other.
Yes.
It is all basically in silence. So that at the end of the movie, when she has to break his heart, your
hurts.
heart breaks for him.
Yeah. The proximity, how long they'll stay in a room together, how much they'll talk about anything personal. It just slightly builds.
Yeah. I love
she is squeezing the fuck out of that cactus by her tit. Can you move it? She's gonna get cactus tit.
I love that he's showing her her room, and he's like, "This work lamp works pretty good, I guess."
Yeah.
So
The dynamic is really relatable, though. I think it's really relatable for a teenage girl to feel really awkward around her dad, and for her dad to just want so deeply to connect, but not be too overbearing. Like you could see he's walking that line where he's like so deeply wants her to be comfortable, but also wants to not be overbearing.
And this particular thing, it's just kind of, it's a coincidence, but I went to my dad's every summer for 2 weeks, very different environment from my mom. And then there was like a gap because I don't know, I decided I didn't want to fucking do that at some point around like 13. So like 13 to 17, I didn't go at all. And then I started visiting him again. And Grand Isle is a very small community. So people in flannel shirts would walk up like, oh my God, you've grown. Look at your tits.
Oh,
no, I mean,
okay,
it was just like, not the tits, but, and there's not many people there. So like, it's easy to be like really good looking there. You just have to have all your teeth. And I did, had everyone. And so it was just like, you kind of become this like, I'm not a celebrity. It's just everyone's going to say hi to you when you go to the one place to eat, the one place to grocery shop. Anyway, so it's well observed.
And to now know, like, these people are all aware of me and have been talking about me when I'm not here. So there's even more of a spotlight on me for a person who doesn't want to be looked at or noticed.
Well, see, I don't think she was a huge topic of conversation until Charlie found out she was coming. And then I think Charlie, being, proud, excited dad, was telling everybody, like, hey, my girl's coming home. Like, she's not just coming for a week in the summer. She's coming to live here. Like, she wants to spend time with me.
Yeah,
she loves me. My daughter loves me.
And the movie doesn't hammer that home, but you get that sense because he meets Jacob's dad, who then says, like, Charlie won't shut up about it.
Well, and Charlie's not a talkative person.
Yes.
So even if he brought it up 3 times, it's like, shut up already.
I love that. I love how they showed us how he acted in front of her, which is very like nonchalant and whatever. I'm not a clingy dad. But then we get hints that actually he's been freaking out and so excited and lining everything up so that she has a perfect time. And that I found that very endearing.
Right. The truck, the new tires, the bedspread. I mean, he's very prepared. He's just keeping it chill.
But the crucial thing is he always has a can of Rainier beer. Now, let me ask you, the book experts. I read that alcohol is never mentioned in the books because Stephenie Meyer, a hardcore teetotaler. Okay, so that is something that Catherine Hardwicke brought to this. Is a dad like this would be constantly drinking beer.
But they don't ever say beer or drinking.
It's Rainier.
They call it vitamin R. They just have it. They don't ever talk about it.
Okay.
Well, see, also, like, even at Bella and Edward's wedding in the 4th movie, I don't even see champagne. Like, I don't even remember them talking about champagne in the book. Like, oh, we did a toast or nothing like that. Like, it's even in situations where it's very kind of almost expected
right,
for something like that to be involved. Just nothing.
Stephenie Meyer was brought on as a producer in the 4th and 5th movie, so maybe she put her foot down and said, no, there will be no champagne at this wedding.
That is a bummer, though. You don't have the need to eat, drink, sleep, or anything. You're just like, what a perfect body to just do a lot of drugs, but no. And you don't drink, so where would it go? You don't have the plumbing, I guess, but just a lot of time on your hands to not get at all.
Can vampires get drunk?
I don't think so, because they don't
honestly, like, if they did a line of coke, would it do anything?
I mean, it seems, I feel like this needs to be looked into. I can't think
I'm going to email Stephenie Meyer and ask her.
Please. I can't think of any vampire movies where they do substances. I only have seen vampire movies where they treat blood as the substance, even though it's the only thing they eat. But like in Lost Boys, when they drink blood, they're just like, fucking yeah. So, blood. Different types of blood.
I feel like in Vampire Diaries, like they can get drunk in Vampire Diaries in the originals.
I didn't see or read whatever that is.
Oh, it's a TV show. It's so good.
Is it?
You need to watch it. Oh, it's like Twilight, but better.
Okay, don't say that. Don't say that to me.
The originals is so much better the Vampire Diaries, but you really have to watch Vampire Diaries to understand the originals because it's a spinoff series.
Okay.
I get the feeling that the Twilight series is for people who don't like vampires that much, though, because it's not
A lot of self-hating.
they're not really that much of vampires.
Well, and they're very like ashamed of it.
Yeah, and it's like every vampire story will be like, forget what you know about vampires. We don't do the garlic thing. We're not afraid of crosses. Oh, blood. Yes, we do drink blood.
And reflection in the mirror, forget about it.
But it'll add new powers. I shimmer and I have super speed and I can fly and read minds and everything. So
You're right. There's no vampire lore to these vampires except for the blood part, and they don't do that.
They're superheroes, basically.
They kill animals.
Have you seen the theory floating around that the Twilight vampires are actually go more along with like Fae lore than actually vampire lore?
What kind of
Yeah,
lore?
I feel like maybe if Stephenie Meyer were more of a nerd, she would have just made them.
Fairies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys. People. There's a book
Yeah,
series. Was it you guys I heard
A Court
talking
of
about?
Thorn and Roses, which I
Yes.
did read the first book. Thought it sucked.
I hear it's real hot.
It was not hot.
Oh.
I wanted
Why
hot.
do you
It's
hate
not.
everything I love?
I'm sorry. Wait, I love
He's that way.
Twilight. I love Twilight.
That's too little, too late, Matt.
Okay, now on to minute 2 of the movie.
If anyone needs a pee break, let me know, because then I won't have to be the one that calls for a pee break. I'm always the one.
It's pretty surprising that we meet Jacob before we meet Edward in the movie, but now we meet him and his dad, played by Gil Birmingham, and Jacob, played by Taylor Lautner. They come over, they say, "Here, we got you a truck." She's like, "Oh, this is a great truck," because she's just kind of a working class gal.
I know we have to endure his long hair. I always remember that, but then I'm always like, okay, move that bus. Like, when are we gonna
hate it.
When are we gonna cut it? Cut it. I didn't realize it's not in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is how everybody should have known from the very beginning that Jacob never had a chance because he was the first boy introduced. And that's how it always works in young adult books. The first boy that is already either already there or introduced first. He's never
The
in
one that
game. It's always the boy.
Interesting.
Well, when these books were big and I didn't know anything about them, but I knew about Team Edward and Team Jacob, even I was like, well, obviously Edward's going to win. One, he's a vampire, and vampires are way better than werewolves. But two, I knew he's like the love interest. Like he's not an actual threat from this Jacob. Was anybody ever actually on Team Jacob?
Yes,
That's what I
people
want to
were.
know.
Those are people. I find those are people with brother complex, like people who like want a partner who's more like a brother to them. This like protection, love kind of thing. And
I'm sorry, Lacey. Are you saying that Team
It's
Jacob
incest.
people are brother fuckers?
They're brother fuckers.
Oh.
They are a certain kind of girl who wants a certain kind of like really protective guy, like teddy bear. You can joke around, you can fart in front of them. They want like the best friend but protective version of a boyfriend. The Edward ones are the ones that want like this fucking passion that takes over everything, and like you can't fart, and you want to be better around them, and they make you better, and normal people.
You can't fart in a 1 mile radius of Edward.
No, he would smell it.
Superpower.
They're gonna smell it.
He's gonna smell it.
He's gonna hear it.
Yeah, he could hear it.
He's gonna
So
know
he
what
can't
it's
even-
thinking. I know what that fart was thinking, Bella. I can't read your
well,
mind.
identify.
Read your farts.
And it's going to be there a long time.
It's gonna linger.
Yeah, that's true. So no, I think Team Jacob people are probably the book readers, because I do remember really kind of adoring Jacob a little more from the books.
He is endearing.
In the movie, he has very little screen time in the movie and very little time to connect, so he just kind of really feels like not even a possible contender. But I feel like in the books, you're like, yeah, he's the safer option. He would make the most sense.
I think you're right. I think that does make it a little bit more will they, won't they.
When I read the books, and I think like he's actually more of a fully realized character than either of the other two. And that's why I thought you really get to know this guy. He seems like he has stuff going on in his head where Edward is an empty vessel. I mean, Edward and Bella, they're Disney prince and princess. They have
All of their conversations are in montage with no sound.
Yes. I love the scene where they start having their let's really get to know each other, and it's you don't hear
I'm
it.
relieved. I'm relieved I can't hear it. But like, look at them. They're building their rapport. That's great. I don't want to hear it.
You like stuff? I like stuff too.
Soup?
See, my opinion of Edward totally changed when Rose and I did Midnight Sun. Like, that is Twilight from Edward's point of view.
Oh.
Listen, the inside of Edward's head is not empty. It's dark as fuck.
So it's not just the word duh for 200 pages?
Well, and to be fair, Stephenie Meyer, I believe, wrote Midnight Sun as a way to redeem herself. Like, she heard all the criticisms of Edward, and she essentially wrote in reasons, like retroactively. Like, oh yeah, well, the reason he was spying on her was because of this. Like, the reason he did this was because of that.
Right.
And when you're in it, it makes sense. You're like, yeah, I'm with him.
He went through the plague.
Always
People die in their sleep all the time. He's got to be there to vampire her in case she's dying in her sleep.
Always a good sign when the writer's like, listen, I'll have to write another book so you can understand my old book. No, totally. This all makes sense. Don't worry about it.
In Midnight Sun, Edward, his thought process is so self-loathing, but not in like a boring way. It is like he's so self-aware and he has all this like self-hatred, but also like he's trying to reconcile like his sort of feelings for Bella or like his initial intrigue with her. He's trying to reconcile it, but also he's sitting in a classroom full of children, okay, in science class when she first comes in, and he's like, I wonder how long it would take me to kill all these fucking kids.
Okay, sounds like
it's
sounds like I should give this book a chance. Never considered it.
Is it not a movie? Because I only give movies.
No, it's a book. She wrote, hey, I have a new book. It's Twilight, but from Edward's perspective. And again, I was like, but Edward is boring. I don't care.
If they ever redo Twilight, I really hope they basically just do Midnight Sun. That would be so much more interesting to do it from his perspective.
If Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart's careers were as in the same place that Taylor Lautner's career is in, I think that movie would have been greenlit like 4 years ago. But,
yeah.
So you either at this point they're going to hard reboot like Harry Potter did, or there's nothing they can do.
No support. Will not be rebooting. Or the saddest kind of reboot where they have one original character, the one that's doing the worst.
I'd watch the Charlie Chronicles though.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's surprising they haven't rebooted it already. It's actually shocking.
I feel like there'd be riots.
No. See, but way before they announced that Harry Potter, they were going to turn it into a series, I said, it's one thing I've gotten right is I bet they turn this into a TV show and just do the books again. Because,
Is that what they did?
Yeah, they're doing that because they tried to do the Fantastic Beasts movies. And I think they realized people don't like this world. They like Harry Potter himself and they like the characters they know. So just do that again. So they totally could just do it again.
I'm not watching it.
Okay, we go to school. Lacey, do you want to tell us about what happens when Bella goes to school?
She's the cat's meow. I don't have the slides in front of me. I'm not used to this. Let's see. She gets the tour. What happens? What the fuck is it? I don't know. She gets a pretty good greeting and a pretty shitty one. Like, you live in a bumfuck town and you think my truck's dumb? Oh, right. You're small town people who are pretending you're not, so you all have big city cars. I get you. So she's playing country while they're playing inner city. It's a mismatch, folks, until like the kid that's like the welcome wagon takes her under her wing, and then she's like the most popular hot shit ever. But she's super awkward, and I can't tell if she's in a popular friend group or not. Like, I can't tell. These kids are all attractive, but they're nerdy.
She's in the only friend group in the entire school. These are the only kids we ever see.
There's other kids.
These 5 kids.
All right. Well, but Kendrick,
I think she's in a popular friend group.
Okay.
You think so? Okay.
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick's character, yeah, she was like the most, I think she was supposed to be the most popular girl in school.
Right. And then Bella replaces it, which, like, that's some scary shit when you're the hot girl in a small town and then another hot girl gets here. Fuck. So she was very smart to be like, let me keep her close. And I think they play pretty convincing, not frenemies, because Bella doesn't give a shit enough about it like that. It's just more, they're friends, but she's kind of always got her eye on Bella of like, don't get smarter. Don't be funnier.
Yeah, and
break your other foot.
This is such a small town in school that somebody new arrives and it's legit front page news.
That in fact they're going to do a feature on her
until they kill the feature. The feature's dead, Angela.
So, I mean, I think it's a pretty good first day. Then now we're at lunch, and this is the first time she's spotting the Cullens, and they walk in like just the hottest pieces of ass.
Just a pack of Aryan hunks.
What do
all
they smell
file
like?
in.
Do you think they use perfume? Like what? I just need to know what they smell like. Do they smell like maybe something cold?
We wouldn't be able to describe it.
Okay.
It's weird. Like, where are they coming from? Because
Right.
they're
Where
all
they
walking
been?
in from outside. And it's like lunch is halfway through.
Right.
So
Why didn't you
they're-
come with everybody else? Right.
They were
They're
doing their prayer
attention
circle.
whores.
They were doing a prayer circle.
They have special hall passes. Yeah, it seems like they just got to school. And we get introduced to them one by one, and they're very standoffish. It's almost like, why even do this part? Why not just pretend you're young adults and go? I don't know. They're just like, they don't seem happy anywhere. They're misfits. They are just paired off together, and they had once looked like the most luxurious.
Alice seems happy.
Yes, she does. But the rest of them are miserable, smelling a bunch of blood bags that they can't eat. And so, like, just go do baseball a lot. Go where thunder's a lot. Go live your dreams, vampires. You have money.
Now, I know if then there'd be no like series, there'd be no movie. But yeah, every time I'm like, why do they have to be in school?
What are you doing right? Like,
who's
can
going to
you
notice if
imagine?
your young adults are not in school? Just be like, no, they're in their 20s.
Right.
I'm running my Mormon house here. Don't leave me alone, please.
Yeah.
Rose and I talked about this to where if we were vampires, like, you want us to go back to high school?
Fuck that.
Absolutely not.
Right. No, that's like, yeah, I don't need to be patronized by a couple of shitty teachers every year. There's always going to be a couple when I'm like, I'm like 3 times their age. I'm not doing this. No, thank you. And it's love at first sight. Bella sees Edward and Kendra. What is her name?
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, but what's
Jessica?
her? Jessica. It's like, don't even try. Okay, I guess it's gorgeous, but like no one can crack that. But they're pulled together. I guess maybe by this time Alice has already had a vision because they all seem very aware of Bella. I know she's staring at them, but you got to think everyone stares at the Cullens. But that whole table seems to be aware of her too, although she's new. Whatever. Okay, so now it's biology time, and now the weirdest face acting and funniest moments are coming.
She walks in front of a giant
like
oscillating fan that blows her stench onto him, and you can see him just.
Whoa! If he had a notebook in front of his boner, that'd be about the same. He's like having a nose boner.
So he's trying not to puke. And
I would have dropped out of school right then and there.
If that was a reaction to what I thought was my smell, I would cry and I'd go home. There's no way I would endure this.
It's funny. It would never occur to me that it's a smell. It was like, that guy's fucking weird. I always think everybody hates me, but I would never think it's my smell. But yeah,
he's doing
very
this.
confident.
He's doing this. That's
And also, he's the only one retching. That's the thing too. Like if there were multiple people covering their noses,
right?
But he's the only one, and it's so dramatic.
Yes, it's almost like this is his way of negging, just a really specific kind of like, oh, you're the new hot girl. You smell so bad. It's very performative.
Mm-hmm. But as he is, keeps trying not to puke, the camera does the famous.
Puke. It's not puke because he's so turned on. He's trying not to eat her.
We don't know that though.
We don't. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Matt.
Putting myself in the mind of the viewer.
Fine.
For the first time, we get the famous shot composition of him with angel wings. So I don't know what to think. Is he an asshole or an angel, or maybe both? And then I love him going to the school like administrator or whatever. He's like, you got to get me out of that class.
Well, talking to her like she's like a college advisor. It's like, I need you to rear in my sexual.
No, the way he carries himself, he's just everywhere. He like beats on the bus driver's door.
Right,
He's like, open the door for me. And they do. Everybody, he's just the fucking big boss here at school. And they're like, sorry, we can't put you in a different class. I guess I'll have to endure it. And he just storms away.
And Bella heard all that. Yeah. Another time I would definitely kill myself. Like I would not go back to school after this.
No. Right
part
back
of
to
me,
Phoenix.
Part of me feels like I would confront him because it's so over the top and out of nowhere that did I do something? What is happening right now? I would need some kind of clarity or my mind would go.
Okay, it's
insane.
interesting because the part that's always I've not understood is this part in the book and the movie. She's like, I was going to confront him for the way he treated me, but I've always been like, well, what did he do? He just like made some faces, but okay.
No, he implied a lot.
Okay.
Matt, you're leaving out. they had made eye contact.
did.
Okay, yes.
They had a nonverbal conversation.
Mhm.
So she was going to be like, hey, like we talked and then you pretended to vomit. What the fuck?
Right.
See, I can't imagine
Yeah.
myself making eye contact with anyone, so that's why I wasn't able to figure that
In
part
high
out.
school, are you making eye contact with a girl? No,
Fuck that.
that's
No,
how you
no,
get
no.
pregnant.
That's where
That's how-
yeah. Eyes
That's
on
how
my
boys
shoes.
get pregnant.
It is how
That is, yes.
And he can't read her mind, so if you add that on top, he's I feel like if you can read everyone's mind your whole existence since being a vampire, and then you come up to one person that doesn't, I think that your curiosity over having the longest life ever, you must be so bored, that should trump the smell. Like, I know you probably shouldn't kill somebody at school. I get it. But I'm just saying, where's your curiosity?
I think this was Exhibit A to Summon Entertainment with Robert Pattinson. He's like, but in the script, it says that he's overwhelmed by her smell. I'm just playing it how that guy would play it. And they're like, no, that's way too weird. You can't do that anymore.
He played, like, Robert Pattinson played this as if it was like on stage, like a Broadway play.
Yeah.
There was a lot of physicality to it where it was like, in the book, it wasn't like, oh, he recoiled. It was just like he was like tense and weird and stared at her and wouldn't talk to her and made her uncomfortable, He wasn't
like using the back of his hand to slide instruments across. Don't touch me with your smell.
Oh, after this at Midnight Sun, Edward goes home and talks to his family about it. And Rosalie's like, okay, I can kill her for you if you want.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, keep
giving care of the problem.
Give the feedback, because that's another person who I can't totally figure out what's going on. It's like either Rosalie is acting like exactly like what everyone else should be acting like, or she's an out of control bitch. And I feel like it might be the first one.
So Rosalie's problem with Bella is actually that. So one, Bella comes in. Bella tempts Edward with her delicious funk, and Edward's like, hey, I think I might kill the chief of police's daughter and then drain her dry. I might take a little doggy bag to go for later. And Rosalie's like, no, I actually really like living here. I don't want you to ruin this for us, so we have to leave. How about I just go kill the girl for you? And then, like, problem solved, no more temptation. And Edward's like, but no, like, I actually kind of like her. Why would you try to kill her? And then later on, Rosalie resents Bella because Rosalie never wanted to be a vampire. So she resents Bella because Bella really wants to be a vampire.
Right.
She feels like Bella's throwing her life away.
Right, LARPing in her reality, which is not what she thinks it is. Right. I mean, she's a fucking 17-year-old child. She has no perception of eternity or what she's giving up because she hasn't done anything yet.
So we go to this diner where they have the most delicious looking burgers that caused Lacey and I to order burgers from DoorDash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we couldn't help ourselves.
And we meet the butt crack Santa guy, Waylon, I believe is his name, who will later get killed by bad vampires.
Which is the first viewing where I realized that's the same person.
That's that guy.
He died.
Hey. Against Billy Burke and Kristen Stewart have amazing chemistry in their awkwardness and in their quippiness. This is another thing to recommend this series. Everybody who listens to this podcast knows I hate quips. I hate the Marvel movie quip verbal tennis matches that all the franchises do. This series doesn't do it.
Right.
They just
believable conversation.
They don't make stupid jokes to each other all the time. So that's something.
That's such a good point. It's so true because even how the teenagers all act really relatable. Like teenagers are not typically going back and forth with super insightful philosophical comments.
Right.
They just like pull out of nowhere back and forth like Gilmore Girls style.
Yes.
And it seems like most movies try to do that. In this movie, the teenagers are just dumb. They just say dumb stuff like, hey, Arizona, how's it hanging?
Right. And like, we're going to put the rain off my hat on your head, or like pulling the chair from each other. Teenagers at this age are definitely physical. They don't, I don't know what's with my words, slap you, like this movie gets that exactly right. These are very believable teenagers.
Yes.
That's why the Cullens are even more bizarre. They're just,
real teenagers can't quip with each other because they don't listen to each other. That would involve listening to each other, and they don't. They just, hey, it'll be my turn to talk soon, or I'm going to punch you in the face or dangle a worm in front of you or kiss you on the cheek and run away.
When they're on the field trip, And when they're on the field trip and the teachers, like, we had this steaming cup of compost tea and the boys were like, that's literally that is exactly how teenage boys act.
Yeah.
Like that is the most believable representation of teenagers in high school that I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
So Bella's narration comes back. It's very sporadic in this movie, but she's like, I plan to confront him, but he never showed. He didn't show for days. Things were getting strange. And then we cut away to this this guy running through, what is it, a mill or a mine, getting chased by unseen vampires.
It's a security guard. So
it is a mine, yes. Okay. This always reminds me of an X-Files cold open. And then I realized, Mulder and Scully could show up in forks. Like, look at that, Scully.
It's the camera angle. It's like they lay the camera on the ground to watch him run. Mm-hmm. It's a very jarring, different view. When you're seeing things through the other vampire's view, shit gets weird. Very sci-fi.
These teenage brothers and sisters are paired off romantically, Scully.
Well, I love the implication for people that watching this for the first time that this is Edward. Right?
Yes, I only picked up on that on this viewing. The editing is totally set up to make you think Edward has vanished. I wondered what happened to Edward. Cut immediately to an unseen vampire chasing a guy down. And they keep that up for a little while longer.
Which only works if you didn't read the books or you saw it for the first, right? Didn't work on me, stupids. This actor, this one that plays the one that's mad, not Emmett, but Jasper. That's not Timothy Chalamet, right?
No, it's not Timothy.
No.
Let's call him.
It's like the same genre of white boy.
Yes, the big hair.
I think his name is Jackson.
I
played
look.
Jagger. I played Jagger in the Twilight movies. I know all the other actors' names, but not him. We got Kellen Lutz as Emmett. We got Nikki Reed as Rosalie, and Ashley Greene, who was like 37 years old right here, playing
Rizzo.
Playing, what's her name? Alice, right? Yeah.
Alice.
So yeah, and then the scene after that, Charlie, the town cop, is like telling his daughter, like, yeah, somebody got killed by an animal or something.
You know what I can't tell? I can't clock if Charlie believes in vampires. Like, I mean, he's best friends with someone who obviously does have good reason to believe in vampires.
No, he doesn't believe in vampires.
I don't know. I think that him and what's his nose have probably had a couple of drunken conversations where it's at least come up.
No, I don't think there's any reason to think that.
I don't think they talk about it. I don't think the Quileute tribe talk about it because they get really awkward even when they bring up Edward. So I don't think it's something that they talk to outsiders about.
But they're not making it any kind of a mystery how they feel about Bella with Edward. So like they do have thoughts and feelings about the Cullens. And if it's not that they're vampires, then what the fuck is it?
It's because their ancestors were weirdos, don't you know?
Yeah, but they were weird because of the vampirism.
No, we just leave out that. It's like Scientology. We don't tell you about the alien stuff until you're like 100 levels in. Charlie's not there yet. We're just my drinking buddy. And even if he told him, you know, we have vampires, he'd be too drunk to understand.
He doesn't get drunk. He just gets relaxed.
And then, you know, Charlie tells Bella she's late on rent, but they can talk about it later. So Bella goes back to school. She never once in this movie actually seems to talk to any of her friends. They just talk at her, and then she wanders off to stare at Edward. And she sees Edward is back, but he's nice now, kind of.
His eyes are different.
Yeah. He's wearing a gray t-shirt, and Bella goes to sit next to him, and he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk to my Edward. And then Bella now they both start talking to each other like that. It's like, you were out of town.
Okay, stop.
And they do so they start to get to know each other a little bit. Although right away we get his patronizing, like, you think you're good at science? I know what's under that microscope, but she knows everything about the microscope too.
Everything about that microscope.
What model it is, when it was manufactured. Yeah, it starts grilling her about her life decisions. Why are you even here? I don't get it. I'm trying to figure you out, but I can't.
Well, you got to think he's an old thing that's always had this one advantage over everyone he's ever come in contact in. You would be like a child. A child asks question after question after question because they don't know where people are coming from. And this is the one person he doesn't know what she's fucking. Why come hair long? Okay. Why dad? Yeah, you like? Mm-hmm. You go to the bathroom? Just every question you'd have to. You have no other way of understand.
Edward's probably completely changed his way of communication since becoming a vampire because he doesn't have to ask questions.
Exactly.
So he's forgotten how to
Like,
make
how
small talk
You're
with people.
so right. He doesn't. God, you're so right. Yes.
Oh, he has no conversation skills.
He's like Bambi. He's learning. Like, yeah, he can just get his answer. Oh, how boring to be around him.
But also, there's no consequences to like ruining your reputation. One, because you're Mormon and you're not supposed to talk to normal people too. But two, if you totally permanently ruin your reputation, you'll just reset again in a few years. It's fine.
Okay, but isn't it also the point of any religion to take on converts? So like, when do they open those books? Why, if you're not ever reaching out, how you get them souls?
I think this is him reaching out.
Okay, fine.
She's a good prospect. He smells her and he's like, okay, yes, I think you're a promising prospect to invite you into my religion.
The smellier the woman, the hotter the vampire.
Yeah. So you weren't in school, and he's like, yes, I was out for personal reasons. And then we go out to the car,
and they're still
lot.
just staring at each other all the time.
Now, wait a minute, guys. We are missing a very important fact here that Edward doesn't look like the Edward before, when he was acting all weird and twitchy and couldn't talk to Bella.
Right. New eyes.
Do you have contacts?
Yeah.
They're
He used to
like
have black eyes like pits from hell. And now he has brown eyes.
That makes him nice.
He wants to know more about you.
Oh, yeah, it's the fluorescence.
Yeah, this shirt's from Abercrombie. What else happened?
So, I'm sorry, I forgot the eye thing.
When he says, because he's asking her a lot of questions, and then he says, I'm just trying to figure you out. I'm sorry. Is that not what every single teenage girl wants a boy to tell her?
Yes, right. That he says a ton of those key things of just like.
Yeah, there's so much of that.
Like,
he's also
honestly, as a teenage girl, if a boy was kind of rude to me and then came back and wanted to know every little thing about me, he was asking me every question about myself, and then he said that,
it's over.
Listen, I would literally throw my virginity at him.
Yes.
Yes, this is absolutely wish fulfillment. He also he constantly says her name in the book and in the movie. Every sentence ends with Bella. It's like a sales tactic. It's like people like hearing their own name, so constantly say, what are you talking about, Bella? Why are you doing here, Bella?
And everyone gets her name wrong all the time, so he never does.
Exactly.
That's hot.
Yeah. So guys, if you're listening, be mean to girls and then ask them a lot of questions. It will work.
You need to use your platform for good, Matt. Okay? Know that you're privileged. And don't use this mic for evil.
Okay, but
Thank
on the podcast, we've been giving people a lot of bad advice recently.
Yeah,
like,
I can.
On the baby boom episode, we're like, it's kind of hot when a guy kisses you without asking you first. And you're like, yeah, you shouldn't, but it could work. Who knows?
Depends on if he's fixing your flat tire or
Yeah,
not.
take a chance. See what happens, you know?
Right, come on.
So, out in the parking lot, Bella nearly gets hit by a car, but Edward zooms in and saves her. And she's like, what the what? And then he runs away. The whole school descends, and then the Cullens look on.
They think Bella made this dent in the van? I never understood this part. But
who knows? They're not asking questions. Bella goes to the hospital where she meets Dr. Cullen, played by Peter Fasinelli. And he's like, oh, yes, I'm the doctor here. And you have been, can you let me flash my thing in your thing?
The nurse can't do such technology. Okay.
And she is like, hey, your son Edward saved my life. And he's like, oh, okay, how about that?
Right. Like, wait, did you already?
Like, when she brings him up, he's immediately like, no, bitch, you're concussed. Okay?
Right.
You hit your head really hard. You don't know what you're talking about.
Better keep your mouth shut.
Like gaslighting.
Yes.
There's a lot of men saying like, okay, stupid to Bella.
She's a huge threat.
You know what? It can work, as we said.
See, in the book, when she's talking to when she's talking to Carlisle, and she's like, yeah, it was the craziest thing. Edward got to me so fast. He was nowhere close to me. And when Carlisle was like, odd. She's like, the doctor's in on it. He fucking knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she clocks it.
Yeah.
She needs to watch her mouth. She is spilling secrets.
Yeah, because she goes to like, I got to talk to Edward, and Edward's talking to his dad, and he's like, was I supposed to just let her die? Come on. And they're like, Edward, this isn't just about you. It's about like all of us or something. And Bella's like, Edward, can I talk to you? And he's like, what do you want, stupid? And she's like, it's like, what's going on? He's like, I was standing right next to you. You're concussed and you're not, and by the way, nobody's going to believe.
Right. No one's going to believe.
That was a red that was red flaggy. That was
Red
kind of
flag
like, of
right
all
out
the
the-
things Edward does, the way he just immediately goes, well, no one's going to believe you. Like he almost gets aggressive. Like he's
Yeah.
ready to snap her neck that
Yeah.
moment.
There's a couple times he's aggressive.
I mean, again, you shouldn't behave like Edward unless you think it's going to work, in which case maybe you should.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, Lord.
So
Now we
listen,
make poo-poo tea.
we're totally glossing over Carlisle right now. Because listen, hot vamp Dr. Daddy, he looks like he has a fucking 401k. Like
Of all
oof.
the vampires, though, he is the least convincing to me. The way he looks, I just don't like his makeup. He looks like a Ken doll. I don't know.
Okay,
I realize he's
listen.
attractive, but like he doesn't read as
He's
like
attractive.
pale to me. So
But see, the thing is that he's attractive. He's a doctor, so he's obviously intelligent. And also like his calm demeanor when speaking. Like, I don't know, it just does something for me.
I agree to that. The look is a mismatch for me, though. He seems like he should
Yeah.
be a tan person, and so the makeup feels like makeup
Yeah.
on him in a way that it doesn't on the rest for me.
I think something about the blonde hair.
Yes.
Something about the blonde hair.
It's just blending. It's just all one color. And then the white jacket too. It's like, okay, I need some contrast.
I find this performance, well, I mean, the character's just kind of his attribute is he's virtuous and good. So
Yeah.
it's like, how can you make this character interesting? Because I like Peter Fasinelli in general.
Mm-hmm.
I guess people probably know him best from Can't Hardly Wait. And he's in a billion TV shows. But yeah, this performance I find kind of underwhelming. And he looks weird. But he also just doesn't have anything to do in this movie.
Right. The parents really do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they take a field trip.
They're on a fucking field trip. I wish you'd just give me bullet points as to what you want me to fucking say.
But when I did that, you told me to stop doing that.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. Bella and Edward are getting some fucking time together. No, that's not what happens here.
Which scene are we talking about?
They're on the field trip, and I'm trying to think like what's the significance, except for the
Oh.
fact that they won't let her ride. I mean, the brothers and sisters make it very clear we don't want you in our squad. We ride a different bus. I don't remember what interaction her and Edward have here.
So this is when Edward he's being hot and cold again in a really weird way, because again, he has continued to gaslight her about the events of the accident.
Right.
And now she's like a dog with a bone trying to get information out of him. And he is refusing to tell her, but also wanting to be around her at the same time.
Right. The whole what's in Jacksonville. Okay, so he lets the cat out of the bag about another power that he has. He was nowhere near her when that boy asked her to prom, and she said, "Oh, I have a scheduling conflict. I'll be in Jacksonville." And then he's way across the thing, and he walks up, "What's in Jacksonville?" So like he's giving away his secrets. And that's when they start to have like a little bit of back and forth. But I don't know where it lands, but not in a good place because he won't ride the bus with her.
Yeah. So what happens is one of the other idiot guys asks Bella to prom, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to somewhere. I can't."
Jacksonville.
Hey, why don't you go ask? The only other girl in this movie. Why don't
That's
you go ask
also
her
Asian.
to prom?
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, okay. Oh no, Anna Kendrick. Go ask Anna Kendrick." And he's like,
Oh, that one.
"Oh, okay. She's dying to go to prom with you. Okay, that worked out." And then Edward like asks her, "Why are you going to Seattle?" And
Jacksonville. Why are you going to
why are you going to? It's Seattle in the book. Why are you going to Jacksonville?
What's in Jacksonville? And she says Floridians. Then she slips. It's one of her two jokes, Matt. Floridians are in Jacksonville.
So it seems like they're getting somewhere, but then he's like, "Look, I just don't think we should be friends, okay?" And she's like, "Well, you should have thought of that before you saved my life." And he's like, "Yeah, well, fuck you." And then he beats on the bus driver's door, and that's that.
Yeah. He's like so intense. He's like, "You think I regret saving you?" She's like, "I can tell that you do."
Right.
And he's just like literally, he is not wanting to like be friends with her. She's like, "Fine, I guess I should have just be dead."
Yeah.
Right.
It's a thing
She
that
should
happens.
go stand in traffic. She should just go stand in the middle of traffic and see if he'll do it again.
Right.
That's exactly what she should do, and it would work. It would
It
work
would work,
over and
and
over again.
He knows his family is putting the pressure on him to nip this shit in the bud, get over this. We're either going to have to move. This is trouble. I'm sure he's being told. But on the other hand, they all are paired up and booed up, and he's been waiting for his. So there's got to be a part of them that thinks, well, maybe this is her, but she's a fucking teenager. Can we turn a teenager? That seems wrong. So it's this. they love Edward. They want him to find someone that he loves. But how can that happen if they're not just like going around to hospitals with people who have fucking moments to live? If that's the rule, how does anyone find a hot babe with today's technology and science and medicine?
And as Courtney pointed out, he's still actually just a 17-year-old, and 17-year-olds are dumb and inconsistent.
And
Can't stick to a plan.
Right. And don't have good impulse control.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, are we really going to fucking move over this girl, Edward? Is this how it's going to be? So he keeps fucking up. He keeps going by her. He's not supposed to. He needs to nip this shit in the bud, and he's not. So he's not mad at her. He's mad he fucked up again on the field trip, and that's why he's showing off with his brothers and sisters. I'll ride a different bus, Rosalie. See? I don't have to be on her bus. Big boy.
So that night was the first night I had a dream about Edward Cullen. We later find out not a dream. He just comes into her room and watches her. Totally cool, totally normal. And but they're talking again at school the next day. And he does a little trick with a hacky sack trick with an apple. And he's like, "Listen, I said I don't want to be friends with you, or we shouldn't be friends, but I actually want to be friends. So why don't you tell me what you think is going on with me? Tell me like what you think I'm like. Tell me why you think I'm special." And she's like, are you a radioactive? Do you get bitten by a radioactive spider? And then he has such a line. He's like, no, that's a superhero thing. What if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy? And I think
please be the bad guy, Edward. Please be the bad guy.
And I think at another point he says, like, you'd stay away from me if you were smart.
If you knew I was Mormon.
He knows exactly what he's fucking doing.
Yeah, 100%. He knows what he's doing.
So she's like, hey, will you come like surfing with me at La Push? And he's like, no, it's too crowded at La Push.
Smells like dog.
Like, let's put that into context.
I love how it's...
He's like, what if I'm a villain? You should stay away from me if you were smart. And she's like, so do you want to hang out?
Do you want to hang out?
Right.
Yeah.
Not smart.
Not smart. Edward.
No, exactly.
Oh, I hate when you give me slides. Okay. All right. Now they're at La Push, the most depressing fucking beach I've ever seen in my life. And I guess she feels like she invited Edward because she seems bummed that he didn't show up, where I didn't really get the hint that he was going to be attending Bella. They're all doing stupid Seattle shit. Is it Seattle? No, I mean Washington shit.
Might as well.
It's cold. Let's get in the water. But this is a good opportunity to learn some lore. So she's got nothing else to do. So let's hang out with Jacob. He's always there to fill in that gap. And this is where we understand ish where Jacob is on his understanding of these things. He says he's saying all of it kind of like, isn't it silly that we think that years ago they were beasts? And I don't really, anyway, she hasn't started Googling yet. So he's our Google right now.
Yeah. He explains like, I'm from the Quiutes, and did you know we're supposedly descended from wolves?
From wolves?
Now with
Bella, keep up.
Quiutes are real people who were not thrilled with with Stephenie Meyer being like, no, I did a ton of research and like I decided you're going to be werewolves in my story. Totally cool.
Like imagine name checking like real people,
a real tribe, like just make up a tribe. How hard is that? Yeah,
just giving them new lore.
It's going to be the only thing people know about them.
So he says, my great-grandfather, the chief, found the Cullens hunting on our land, but they claimed to be something different.
Something different.
So we made a treaty with them. If they stayed off our lands, we wouldn't expose them to the pale faces.
No, we wouldn't expose them as pale faces.
We wouldn't expose them to the pale faces. The pale faces are...
I just assumed pale face was a vampire.
In the book, this is much longer, and he explains how they are different, and I think the movie is eliminating that so that it can keep making you think that Edward is killing people, and that's another reason why she can't be with Edward, because he's a goddamn murderer.
And she's cool with it. She's already made up her
mind. She'd be okay with it anyway. This is just...
I'd be cool with it.
I would too.
Just giant info dump. Oh yeah. Later when Edward says to her, like, I wanted to kill you, like you can like hear her getting hornier by the second.
Oh, bad. Like,
tell me more.
Yeah.
You wouldn't date these other bitches, but you'd kill me. Stop it.
It's like, wait, this whole time you've lived here, you've never once committed homicide. And then I come in.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm not like other humans. I smell.
So I'm like special? I'm
So you're saying? Turn me out. Okay. And now we go to another weird jerky scene where it's some kind of hunter hunting the townsfolk. But now we see that it's other vampires. We see the redhead and the guy with no shirt, and then the other guy with no shirt.
Yeah.
Did I
and
sum
they
it
kill
up?
him. They kill him on a
Wrong?
boat.
Right.
And then Bella's back at her house and she does a Google search for Queutes and then finds out, I love this. She's looking and it's like, ooh, a book is available. Do you want to order it from Amazon, Barnes & Noble Borders, or the bookstore in Port Angeles, Washington that's 10 miles from your house? And she's like, ooh, that one, please.
Why even click it?
This was before like Amazon Prime where you could get things,
Right.
you know, overnighted. She would have had to wait she would have had to wait like 7 to 10 business days. And I don't think she has that time.
She was doing the most American thing. She was doing the thing that would get it to her the fastest. You know, it's just slow now.
Yes. Hate to be this guy, but Amazon Prime definitely was the thing in
All right,
2008.
Matt.
I had it. I was a very proud Amazon subscriber.
Okay, but she's
back then.
in Forks.
Yeah, well, Amazon's a Washington-based company, right?
Not up there. Nope.
The next day,
I think if you would have been Bella, you would have just never left your house. You would have just
Right.
You would have dropped out of school the first day that he
Yes.
acted like you stank, and then you just stayed home and Googled everything and ordered all the materials to your house, and nothing bad ever happened.
Yeah.
And the movie's like 20 minutes long.
Bella's also she's a bookstore person. She loves the magic of a bookstore. Wants to go caress the spines. Likes the smell of the bookstore.
You're adding this.
I'm adding this on. That's
Okay,
true.
fine.
In the book, one of her other characteristics, she has two characteristics. One, clumsy. Two, reads books. Loves books.
Right.
She's Belle.
She is like
She's
Belle.
Belle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Edward isn't at school, and Anna Kendrick's like, yeah, because the weather's nice. When the weather's nice, the Cullens get pulled out of school to go hiking
What, like
and
the
shit.
ditch? No, like their parents fucking take them out and sun them up.
Yeah.
That's not strange. That's neat.
And Anna Kendrick wants to go shopping in Port Angeles for prom, so Bella tags along
Because she wants that book.
to Port Angeles so she can go to the bookstore.
Port Angeles, the most dangerous town in all of America, the home of gang rape.
That's right.
where they shop in the windows of prom dress places, pick out the sexiest rape victim, and then
And
you guessed it.
when we went to Port Angeles, Lacey got excited. She's like, this is from Twilight 2.
It's all here.
It's all happening. There's a little shopping montage that they also have in 13. Very similar.
Is it a montage?
Yes.
I don't know.
And the two girls, they keep asking Bella her opinion. She's like, it's good. It's good. And they're like, you always say that. Why do they like Bella? She doesn't
There's
seem to
only
like.
3 girls.
Oh, yeah. It's very confusing because Bella is, she doesn't seem very interested in literally anyone.
This
Nope.
is the
Barely
problem with
seems
pretty
interested in
people.
Edward.
If you're pretty, you just probably are interesting. They're just waiting for it to come out. It's like, no, there's nothing else here. But she makes a joke every now and then. She doesn't like anybody. So if she shows any interest in any of them, they're like, oh, yay. It's a
And
Bella day for me.
She's so blank that you can project things onto her. You'd be like, no, she's like really likes me.
Right. I speak Bella. I think. Yeah.
She goes and buys the Queutes book and then gets accosted by a gang of rapey thugs, Port Angelinos, the most
What is
dangerous
their
kind.
plan,
They're like,
man?
hey, sister, you looking for a good time? And she's like, stay away from me. And then vroom, vroom, Edward
In the
zooms
fastest car imaginable.
in the fastest
A-
Nissan Altima.
a
And he's like,
It's a Volvo.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is a Volvo.
And then
It's a Fiat.
he jumps out of the car and stares at them and they're like, whoa, man. And they all run away.
I figure he took his fangs out or something.
No,
what was
he
he
just-
doing? He's just projecting?
Just
Mean?
did a mean stare and they
Did a
all
mean
run
stare.
away and he gets into the car and he says, distract me, Bella, or else I'll go
Oh,
fucking
go
murder
do
them.
it. Also, he doesn't put her seatbelt on her and he's driving like that? Not cool, man.
In the book, he literally says, talk about something unimportant to distract me. You know, the things you like to talk about, little girl. So yeah. They go meet up with Angela and Jess, but Edward's there. They both swoon and giggle, and then Edward and Bella can have their little dinner date where he's like, you have to eat. You have to eat. I'm not going to eat anything. You eat. You got to eat something. And he starts explaining some things. He can read minds. I can read everybody's mind in this restaurant.
Sex, money, sex, cat.
Cats, except yours. I can't read your mind. You're just that goddamn special.
She should have said sex, money, cat in that order.
Yeah.
I liked Lacey. Lacey said at this moment, he can't read her mind because there's nothing in there. It's just the monkey with the organ grinder.
It's like the Lego movie. The reason he's a master builder is because his mind is a blank
Yes.
space.
There's just nothing there.
Yes.
And he explains like, yeah, I've been following you, but only because I feel protective of you. I was going to keep a distance unless you needed help, but I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
So now this is your life.
Enjoy it.
Yay. She gets a ride home. This is like a fucking teenager dream. This like, oh no, we have to be together more. Oh my God. I'm just like, oh, he's going to drive her home. But there's an emergency at the emergency station. And
what are those police doing at the police station?
Right.
Let's go investigate.
Let's go. Right. Why is there sirens on at the police station? And they find out that the creepy man from the diner has been killed. And, now there's like a knowing look between because Carlisle's there for some reason and Edward like he was killed by a beast, so like they understand shit, we got to go talk vampire stuff over here, ditch the mortal. And so he's like, Bella, your dad knew that man for a long time, he probably needs you right now. So she goes in there and it's actually a very sweet scene. It's so
lovely. They don't say anything. They just kind of hold hands.
Yeah.
And then eventually he's like, oh, it's going to be okay. I'm going to kill that gosh darn animal. And he gives her some bear mace to carry around.
Well, I mean, he's lived in a peaceful town for a long time. His daughter comes finally and he's getting to like be a dad. And now it's turning into a fucking murderous, he's sad for his friend, but he's like, I'm going to get them. I mean, he's scared. He's brought his kid to this just isn't the thing he was picturing when she was going to come live with him.
When Bella sees the corpse getting wheeled away, then she gets this flash of the Cullen. She's like, maybe Cullens did this. Oh no, I'll go Google. So she does the most helpful Google ever. She just types in the word vampire and then gets all the information she could ever need. Super strength, cold skin, blood drinking. I love a Google montage. In a vampire movie, you gotta have it.
We back up to how her friends were just gonna fucking leave her in Port Angeles.
Well,
yeah.
I think Edward speaks to them, and they just lose all
because they've never
decision-making ability.
Well, they went and ate without her. They were on their way to the car.
That's what she means. Like that's her ride, right? They probably were gonna like ride around and look around for her. I mean.
They don't like Bella that much. They're like, she's like this weird girl who, I don't know, she could disappear.
Maybe that was the plan all along, to leave her there so that they didn't have competition. Because all the boys that these girls like Bella.
They went to Rape City and told her to go do something on her own. Oh, you're so smart. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like Garfield mailing, is it Normal to Abu Dhabi? Yeah.
No idea what the fuck you're talking about. All right. So Google montage.
In Midnight Sun, Edward tells Bella how Jessica was just talking hella shit in her head about Bella when he got there. Yeah.
Does Edward do a Google search?
Shut up. He just goes and reads minds.
Edward doesn't Google.
Yeah, he runs it in his mind. So then the next day at school, Bella gets Edward to follow him into the woods, and she's like,
she's had enough.
Yeah, your hand is cold. You talk like you're from a different time, like you referenced this all new dance craze, the Charleston. And come on, how old are you? 17. How long have you been 17? A while. And the camera is just going nuts, just swooping all around them.
I think there's vampires watching them because it's reminiscent of those scenes. Like, who's in the forest? Look at that thing.
Yes, they could be there at any time. And she's like, I know what you are. Say it.
Scene. That scene is very.
I love it.
Definitely is like a payoff to all the tension that's been building and building and building. Especially if you're watching this having no idea what's going to happen, and you think like. Is he with those vampires that are killing people? You know, all these things are happening simultaneously. And you're alone in the woods with him,
I think she's at this point where she's like, I either want him to kill me or just tell me he doesn't like me. Like I either am going to end up walking out of these woods, his girlfriend, or dead. And I'll take either one because I can't live like this.
I know what you are. Say it.
Say it, bitch.
Say it out loud. Say it. Tell me. You're a vampire. Yeah. He's like, are you afraid? No. Then ask me the most basic question. What do we eat? And then he
pussy
puts her on top of his back, and we get the first fast motion running. I remembered it looking a lot worse than it actually does. It looks not that terrible in this movie.
It's been memed, and I think the meme makes it worse.
Maybe it's worse in the sequels.
Well, he makes it sound like he's getting ready to show her a body. He's like, you need to see what I look like in the sun. And it's like, glitter? I fucking love it.
You want to see it, big
like,
buddy.
How did you expect this to go?
Right. Girls love sparkles. You thought I was going to be like, bleh,
Yeah, I know. It's like, you wouldn't like me. I'm
gorgeous.
and super hot and just I can run real fast. I'm a monster.
That's why Courtney's mug is so funny.
He goes out into the sunlight and shows her.
Yeah.
I sparkle and shimmer. Oh my God.
I need that mug.
And she says, it's like diamonds. You're beautiful. This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
I'm disgusting.
But we're different. We're not like the
no.
other guys. We don't eat humans. We only eat animals. But I want to kill you. I haven't wanted to kill someone in a long time, but I want to kill you. And she's like, I don't care.
If Carlisle is the
She's like, you won't hurt me.
right, no, she's like, it's like she's like manifesting her destiny. She's like, no, you won't hurt me.
Well,
You know,
her blood is like cocaine to him, which it doesn't sound like he's ever done cocaine. I feel like
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
done
Like,
is-
how would he
like,
know?
Like maybe he ate a deep dish pizza one day and he was like, "Oh, this is it,"
Right.
And he's like, "Blood is like that." you
No,
know?
but
Like
no,
a-
Rose. When he was still immortal, cocaine was a medicine. You went to the local druggist and you got
true.
yourself some cocaine or some heroin.
They tried to heal
good
his
for what ails
polio.
you. Yeah,
That's true. Very likely he's done it.
their family is different. Their clan is different.
That
They
was
don't
my
want to.
question. If Carlisle is who turned him, and Carlisle's the one that started the whole vegetarian thing, why is it that Edward's killed a person before and has eaten blood the normal way? That's what's implied, is that he's a
was-
vegetarian now.
Yeah, he didn't always have so much control over it.
So he's
He
killed
had
a couple.
dark moment. He had a dark moment, and they explain it in Midnight Sun. They explain
Okay.
he has, and I wish it was truly like I really hate when they try to save the viewer or reader from experiencing the protagonist doing any actual bad things,
Mhm.
because you learn that he's only actually killed bad people, and it's like, come on,
Oh, that sucks.
lame.
Yeah, kill like a mom.
okay, maybe not a mom,
Yeah.
but like a dude,
Like a
you know?
dad.
like someone who
No.
like kind of deserves it, but not super, like someone who just cut you off in traffic or something,
Right.
and then you're like, okay, it's kind of justified, but not really, you know?
Did the Cullens fight in World War II? Do we know this?
He's like, I'm a monster, Bella. I've murdered people. And she's like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. He's like, like I've murdered murderers and rapists.
Right.
She's like, oh.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's exciting.
That's
So
double
you're
good.
like a cop. You're like the police.
My dad's a cop, so that's hot.
Yeah, it's the thing about you is you're different. You're so special. You have no idea your smell. It's like a drug to me. You're like my own personal brand of heroin. I hate you for making you want you so badly. I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself around you. And he's like physically towering over her. He corners her at one point, pins her to a tree. And then she says, now I'm afraid, but the only thing I'm afraid of is losing you. I feel like you're going to disappear. I love that line. I feel like you're going to disappear.
Well, yeah, and I guess it's foreshadowing for what happens in the next book, but then also it's a little cringe too, because it feels like they've only just started to have romantic undertones. Like he's just started to open up to you, and then you're immediately like, I hope I don't lose you.
I read it as more like he's so dreamlike, like he feels so elusive, like I can't wrap my head around you.
When he keeps disappearing.
and you keep literally disappearing from school.
From school, right? Like, okay, I'm just starting to like get a handle around this. We're starting to connect and understand each other. You're just gonna disappear again.
And my life's been a little chaotic, and I'm just accustomed. I'm accustomed to good things going away, and so
In Midnight Sun, he's like trying to scare her because again, this is Stephenie Meyer,
Right.
like retroactively trying to explain it. And so in Midnight Sun, his reasoning for being so intense in the scene is that he wants to scare her to where she just like leaves and leaves him alone.
And that's why when she says, now I'm scared, he says, good. He's disappointed, but it is what he was trying to do.
all right. Well, Midnight Sun's not canon to me. He knows what he's doing. He knows how much this is working for her. It's like she's like, the lion fell in love with the lamb. What a stupid lamb. What a masochistic lion.
With his advanced hearing and sense of smell, he can probably smell
Moisture.
that she's wet.
Yeah.
Oh no, yes. The more and yeah, it's a feedback loop. The more he smells it, the more.
We're going on primal instinct now, Bella, because I can't read your mind. I can read your panties.
And again, 50 Shades of Grey started as Twilight fanfic, and it is because of scenes like this where you're like, just take the subtext and make it text, and give you what Stephenie Meyer is denying you, which is just hardcore BDSM between these two. Because this is the story of a woman who wants to get domed, but doesn't have the language to ask for that. So what happens next, Lacey?
All right. Well, now we understand the backstory of the family, because I guess they're getting to know each other. And so he explains that Carlisle only takes people who are near death. It's the only choice, and they have to want it, I think. And that Edward was first, and then Renesmee is not the name of that person.
I don't remember the order.
Oh, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah, so Carlisle is essentially a cult leader is what this reads as. Like, he is a vampire. He wanted to be a different kind of vampire that didn't exist.
he needs his
So
children.
he decided to create
That's right.
vampires that he could then manipulate and this kind of it really is manipulative when you think about it, because all of these vampires owe him their life.
Yes.
Because he saved all of them.
That is such a good point. He can doctrinate them however he wants, which is the point. It's the reason why you have a flock and you get them while they're young.
Yep.
And he's denying them what they essentially what is this, like, the most natural thing that they could want, aka sex or whatever. And he's saying, no, we're a no fap family. None of us will be pleasuring ourselves. No, you can just have just enough to take off the edge and then live miserably with the rest of your siblings. So we're just getting, they're finally talking. So now the floodgates are open, and I don't remember what else I'm supposed to say on this slide.
That he explains, when we taste a drop of human blood, it unleashes a frenzy. It's almost impossible to stop. It's like a baby with breast milk, honestly, if you've ever experienced this. A baby will go nuts.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, vampire with blood.
That's not what babies are like with breast. Otherwise, breastfeeding would be easy as shit.
Oh, it was with our baby.
No, it fucking was.
Yes, it was. He went nuts.
God.
He did.
Anyway.
And the only way you could calm him down was with breast milk.
Okay, that's different. I just mean right away, babies are not naturally good with the breast milk and the titty.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
But our family, we're vegetarians basically, and like the Mormon thing is so evident now. We're not like other Christians. So by the way, I want you to meet my family tomorrow. And she's like, what if they don't like me? And this is when his British really comes out. He's like, so you're worried that not because it's a house full of vampires, but because you think they won't like you.
She's so different. She's insecure. No one's like that.
I gotta say, the conservative Christian thing bothers me a lot less than the sort of prosperity gospel element of the Cullens. It's like when you become a member of our clan, you also get super rich and get to live in luxury. And that's the part that's a little, I don't know. That's my least favorite part of it.
That they're rich?
Well, because other vampires don't seem to have wealth. Like the bad guy vampires here, they seem like nomads. Like they're just kind of.
And that is because it's the ones who make roots, like the Catholic Church, right? They are stationary. They can stand there and build wealth and community and power. And that is what Carlisle wants. He wants to stop, plant roots, get his own flock. And because I think the natural way of vampires, due to people starting to catch on what you are, is you do have to keep moving unless you find a way to stay semi-permanent. So he's been able to like gain wealth and pool their wealth. And so he probably does have more money than your average vampire, and is going to be a threat to the Vatican.
Just if you read this as Stephenie Meyer trying to pitch people on Mormonism, it's like, if you believe these things are inherent goods in of themselves, that should be enough. Why do you have to add on this element of also you'll be super rich if you become a Mormon? That's the part I don't like.
Well, the riches of the afterlife. She's showing you like all these things that they're otherworldly. You don't understand all the benefits you'd have because you're of this mind. You can't help it. You're a human. You don't understand. You can't perceive what we have because we know the truth. So they just have to show it in, dumb human brain terms. Money?
There's also sort of just the fairy tale like element of, we've selected you. You're so special and chosen. Yeah. Now we get to elevate you up. You get to come into the castle with us. And by the way, we're cooking a meal for you because we love you that much.
They're all just still kind of like feeling each other out. Rosalie's still not on board. The guys never look comfortable. Anyway, it's just step one of any awkward young romance. Let's go. I don't know. I live in this house with these parents, so let's go there now. Come see my room. It smells weird. And then let's like do stuff at the house, and then I'm gonna take you home. It's just an awkward fucking teenage meet the parents moment. That's it.
Well, this is important because we find out he loves music. A very important part of his character. She looks in his CD collection. He loves music, and apparently she does too. She knows opera too.
No, she doesn't.
And then he like takes her. He takes her out into some trees. Oh, the thing with all the graduation caps, which is creepy as hell. And eventually, they just start slow dancing like freaks in his room.
No, they do a bunch of tree exploring and staring at each other and stuff, and it's really sweet. I'm just saying.
I meant to look up. Did they actually put these two actors up in a tree like that?
It looks
really
like that looked
impressive.
real.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the score in this movie, the soundtrack that goes throughout the entire movie? Because it's so like the you do it. You're the singer.
Wait, I can't. But the only song that stands out to me is the one that they play at the end, because I think that's also their wedding song, right? The slow dancing song that they play.
Oh yeah.
That I think I've only ever heard that song in the context of these movies. But wait, I want to understand what Rose is saying. I can't even.
No, do you know which one I'm talking about? The hua 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 song. You know what I'm talking about, Courtney, right? The ha 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 ha.
I can't picture it.
No, nothing.
I don't know. As soon as I hear it, I will be like, "Oh, okay." But I'm trying to think of it when they play it.
Movie. It's like in the very first scene, and then it's just like a motif throughout the movie. It's like a haunting melody.
Oh,
I listened to the whole score this morning. There's
that.
not that many tracks on it because there's a lot of there's just a lot of soundtrack songs that play, and a lot of it that sounds like it's it's diegetic in the movie, like it's playing out of car speakers and stuff. Which was also the case with 13. There's just always music playing. But yeah, this is one of the moments in the score. I just don't remember the specific moment from the score.
No, but Rose is saying it is like the theme song to the movie. They just keep putting it in, and she's like, and it's so out of. It doesn't feel like the right. It takes you out.
No, I feel like it's perfect. I feel like it adds to the atmosphere.
It must,
but I just think it's funny that you guys it didn't resonate with you guys because I feel like it's so good.
I'm sure I love it.
Twilight.
God damn it.
Edward comes into her room at night and reveals he's been watching her sleep for months. I like watching you sleep. It's very fascinating.
Fascinating. That's not the word. Say that it's sweet. And no, he says that. I'm saying like don't say that to me. I don't know what I do in my sleep. So say that it's very serene.
You suck your thumb.
Sweet. Anything but fascinating.
And then he tries, let me try something on you. And he kisses her, but like, don't move.
Hot. It's a fucking hot ass
Filmed
kiss.
very erotically. Catherine Hardwicke knows how to shoot this stuff. And then she pulls him down and is like, all right, let's do this. And he jumps away and he's like, no, I'm a monster.
Yeah, but it is maybe a subtle or not subtle, but I feel the shame. He shames her and she shames herself. Like she wants it too much. They really flip it. When she's in her underwear, he's fully clothed. Okay, but he came into her fucking bedroom in the middle of the night.
Yes.
I'm just saying they do a good job of making her look like she did that.
Yeah, no, it is the implication is you are so tempting that you make it dangerous for me to be around you, but it's not I lack self-control and I lack practice of, resisting things that I like. It's you. You're the problem. A temptress.
Yes.
I'm going to hell because of you, basically.
Exactly. Which is the message of religion. We are meant to be the brakes. They are the gas. We're supposed to understand the nature of men. And then we're supposed to help them stay godly, stay right with God, walk their path. That is what we're taught in fucking Sunday school and shit. Like, you're very aware of your powers as a fucking woman and these horny ass men. So yeah, no, Bella is meant to look like a problem. She won't get out of his face. Not just here, constantly.
And she can't because he will literally come into her bedroom and put himself in her face and then like, why are you tempting me? God. Then we have the montage we mentioned where they start to bond over how much they have in common, but we don't hear anything that they say to each other. Next day, Charlie is cleaning his gun and Bella's like, hey, Dad, I'm dating Edward, by the way. And he cocks it and he's like, all right, bring him in, which is great. He's taking Bella off to play baseball with the family. And now the classic vampire baseball sequence. Truly, when I watched this movie for the first time, I was like, my jaw was on the floor. What is this movie? They're playing baseball. Muse is playing. They can only play baseball during thunderstorms because of the noise or something.
You're on a remote fucking cliff up in the mountains. Just do that. The hell? How loud is this? They'll just think it's a thunderstorm, guys.
Yeah. But here's the thing. They're all fast and strong. So you've never seen baseball like this.
I honestly think this is the most dangerous thing they do with Bella. They're throwing the ball willy-nilly at any kind of point of contact to Bella of any of the things they're doing. That bitch is dead. So I get why they can't have a human around.
Yeah, regular
She's a
baseball is
liability.
dangerous enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's the umpire? No, make her stay in the car.
Right. But they're all old fogies, so that's why they like baseball. Baseball's the hippest new thing these days.
Okay, I love this scene, the baseball scene. I feel it injects a much needed playfulness and fun to the movie, because up until this point, everything is so serious and grim, and he's going to kill you, and there's someone out there hunting humans and teenage angst and unrealized sexuality. And then it's like, hey, America's sport, but like toned up to 100.
And we don't see any perks of being a vampire really until right now. Like we don't know that the family's happy. They seem miserable. Now they're actually like, okay, we get it. You guys like hanging out with each other. But it is that thing of like, finally, they're all having a good time together. And then the worst fucking thing happens. It's like, can't we just have something nice? It's such a bummer. The fact that this changes all of their lives immediately. It's like, this is why we can't just go fucking bringing humans around, Edward. We were telling you this. It is a bummer.
And it being a conservative movie, they're showing you these are American vampires. They love baseball.
Okay, well, so what? These other vampires that then walk up with their shirts off and shit. We're supposed to.
Those are European vampires.
No.
Eurotrash.
I mean, in the terms of the Mormon metaphor.
Those are just mainstream Christians. Those are Protestants. Those are Catholics.
Vagabonds. Okay.
Yeah.
And they like to eat.
They don't believe that Jesus was born in America and that New Jerusalem. They don't like baseball. They prefer soccer. They call it football. It's gross.
Okay, but like, what would Bella be to them? Why do they want to destroy her? Why don't they want to convert
Bella
her?
Would be...
She's a human. I will tell you this. I feel like this scene when the bad guys come out of the forest and all of the Cullens get very weird because they know that they have a human with them.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to understand in the movie. I felt like it wasn't done right in the movie because it just seems so over the top and weird. Like they have this confrontation that's not really a confrontation, and then they both go their separate ways, but Edward's freaking out and Edward's acting like the world is ending. And you're just like, what happened? Like, you don't understand.
Yeah, and then Francis, Bella afterwards, like, wait a minute, what was that? And then Edward has to explain everything. But you're so right. I definitely didn't understand this when it was happening, and it's just it gets so weird. There's like they come out of the fog in like this music video pose, which I love. But then they all get into their battle poses, and it's like, we won't fight today, but we'll do it another time. And I was like, what? Okay, the movie is now shifted again into a totally different movie.
But it gives
It is a completely different movie at this point, too. And there's only 3 of them. You're telling me the Cullens can't take these guys on?
Oh, they're going to take them on. But they don't. I realize it is a risk to do it in your hometown where you're trying not to be fucking vampires, right? I guess they could have tried to kill him right here. But mainly, they would be short Edward because he's with Bella. And I don't know. I think they've probably been decades since they've had to deal with something like this, and this is exactly why. It's like, unless you are sure this is your life mate, let's not even make a best friend. Okay, this is a fucking hassle. We will always be putting humans in danger because we are not human.
It just occurred to me too that because they're vegetarian vampires, this is mentioned in the books, because they're vegetarian vampires, they're weaker. They're not as strong as the ones who eat on blood.
Okay.
Well, and they're a threat to these people who do eat people. I mean, if they understand what they're doing, they're going to not be supported by their own kind either. So they're in this no man's land. They aren't supported by their own, and of course not by humans.
So Edward explains, like, you don't understand. That guy, James, he's a tracker. He's the best in the world. Once he's got your scent, he'll never, ever stop. He's the Terminator, basically. We're fucked. The only thing we can do is kill him. We have to kill him and burn his body parts. So,
Or else you get a little hand vampire, a little leg vampire.
yes, exactly. So, but what to do about Charlie? Because they're going to go look for Bella at her home, and she has to go tell Charlie. She said, I broke up with Edward. And Charlie is like sputtering. He doesn't know what to say. He's like, but I thought that you liked him.
I mean, imagine it from his perspective. You just met him for the first time. You're going on your first date, and you come back wanting to leave the fucking state? What?
Yes.
What the fuck did he do to you?
And he is like trying his best. He's not equipped to handle this situation, but he's very gracious about it. He's like, okay, I know you want to leave. I'll drive you to the airport tomorrow. Just think about it tonight. And she's like, no, fuck you. And he says, it breaks my heart. He says, I know I'm not that much fun to be around.
Yeah.
But we'll start doing more stuff together. And then she has to really make the stick. Says, right. What would we even do? You're boring, and you just like the Mariners on television. And I just got you back, he says. And she said, yeah, if I stay here now, I'll never leave. I'll be just like Mom.
At least she blames that part on the boy. At least she's like, look, I'm falling for him. I now realize what this means for me. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to be trapped here like Mom. It was a smart thing to come up with in the moment.
It's plausible, but my God, it's going for below the belt.
I know. So sad.
And I think he plays it with just the right amount of heartbreak, confusion, and keeps it subdued at the same time.
Because what can he do?
And because this time I was viewing the movie, like I think their relationship is actually like the core of this movie at least. And this decision to really break his heart. I was shocked when we watched it that we don't see them reconcile in the hospital. I was so sure that scene would be in there, and it wasn't, which really surprises me because I feel like that's what the audience wants to see.
Right. At least clear that up. Or do they? I can't remember if
it's
it happens
off
in the
screen.
next. Yeah.
It's just off screen. It's like, yeah, he forgave me or whatever. I don't know. It's like, no, we need to see that.
Yeah. It is off screen, but also isn't it just so believable? Because teenagers have these catastrophic fights with their parents, and then the parents like, all right, time for dinner, and they like never talk. That was my childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just, life-threatening event that makes everything even more real. And it's like, okay, we're not going to fight about this thing that happened. You're in the fucking hospital. I love you.
I just want to see him forgive her. Or just be more on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was really heartbreaking. I do have to say this. Stephenie Meyer could have, and I think would have if she had read more YA, killed Charlie. Mm-hmm. It is the most logical thing for Charlie to die because usually parental figures in YA books, especially when there's paranormal stuff happening, you got to get the parent out of the way. Like her needing to account for him is such this annoying little roadblock in the story of having to be like, oh, now I have to come up with a story for my dad to allow me to go out of state.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad he doesn't die. He's my favorite part of the movies. And I think his energy of sort of detached and like, so it's like, I just want to drink beer. I don't want to think about vampires and shit. That sounds like nerd shit. I just want to watch baseball. Go do your thing, Bella.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't. Amazing. So I'm glad that it doesn't go more YA with he's never in actual peril. He's the real world penetrating this movie.
Right.
It's a miracle that he survives, but then also when you think about the series as a whole, Stephenie Meyer didn't have the stomach to kill anyone, like not a singular person. Like they all make it out.
You're right. You're right. Not even a brother or sister. I mean, you can't because that's world ending for. Then you got to go find another human that's going to be their best friend.
Not even the human friends. Not a single one of them. There were so many. I mean, it was like, like what a better way to get to Bella than James killing one of her friends.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little toothless. I mean, but it's like, that's not the series. That's if you're coming here for actual bloodshed, you're in the wrong place. Can I ask you, Rose, big Twilight fan, when you saw Breaking Dawn Part 2, which has, the final battle shows the final battle, when in the book, that's just like a one sentence thing that occurs in Michael Sheen's head. When you were watching the movie, and this goes on and on and on, were you thinking, oh shit, they're actually changing the book and making this happen for real?
100%. I was losing my mind. I went to see it with my husband who had never read the books, and I was just grabbing his hand and I'm going, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. I was losing it.
They're all non-canonical.
But then also, because we had Alice visions in previous movies, but they were always very different from the reality, and they were very obviously visions. Like there would just be these quick flashes. And so for there to be this long sequence, I mean, how long was it? It felt like it went on for like 10 minutes. It was really
It's long, and it's the best part of the movie, and I kind of wish they didn't I wish they just stuck with it. But it's a fun way to troll the audience and give you the big blockbuster action spectacle and then say, nope, just kidding, it didn't happen. But it'd be kind of like if you found out a whole Avengers movie was just a Doctor Strange vision or something.
It goes back to Stephenie Meyer's being kind of toothless with this series, because that last book is building up to this big war that literally never happens.
Right.
Like the movie would have been so lame.
Yep. Now, and there were like real life massacres of Mormons and massacres that Mormons participated in the 1800s when that movement was coming up. Okay, well, I was very curious because I've heard of like Twilight fans reacting very strongly in the moment when they saw that movie, of this series that has been so faithful to the books all of a sudden deviating so far. All right, the Cullens are at their mansion and they're doing mission prep. Here's what we're gonna do. Bella, you go to Phoenix with Jasper and Alice, and we'll go track them or whatever.
Throw them off your scent.
Yes.
Everyone wear a Bella jacket.
So she's supposed to be with Alice and Jasper at this point, right?
Right. And she is, and they're at like a Best Western or something, but they're not in Jacksonville. No, they're in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then Allison's getting a vision and she starts drawing their paper and she draws the ballet studio. And it's one Bella went to when she was a little girl, random. We've never spoke about this before. And somehow, is it a phone call? It has to be a phone call.
Yeah.
James calls Bella.
How does he get her fucking number?
He goes to Bella's mom's old house, calls her. I don't know. It's written down somewhere. This is Bella's phone number.
He gets an old home movie where the mom is calling for Bella, and he uses that voice to make it sound like James has her mom, and so he says, meet me at this ballet studio and you can have your mom back or whatever. Or, I'll kill you instead of her.
And you can't tell anybody. So that she
don't
sneaks
tell
off
it. Right.
to do
Don't
it.
bring your friends or else your mom's going to get it.
Yeah. And so she goes to the ballet studio and then finds out, oh shit, it's just a video recording. And he's like, I got you good. And then it becomes Reservoir Dogs, or it becomes, a Red Dragon or something. Is like,
right,
I'm going to fucking video record my torture of you.
Right. I picked this very cinematic area, like trying to explain why the fuck are we in this location. It is very cinematic. There's no reason to be here. No mention of any dancing in the past or why this would be significant. And he's like, I know how to pick my location.
Yeah,
okay.
He turns on Stuck in the Middle with You. He cuts off her ear. He starts dancing. And then Edward.
Cuts off her ear?
No. He's saying Reservoir Dogs shit.
Okay.
I was just thinking of Reservoir Dogs the whole time.
Oh, I was like, okay, I missed
right,
that part.
They put the ear back on.
They did a great job.
They really did.
And then Edward heroically shows up, but James, because he's a good old fashioned meat eater, has the advantage over him. They have a stupid little vampire fight. I do not think the action right here is very good at all.
I don't even notice their fight.
It's cut to hell. You can't track anything.
I just notice her pain, which maybe that's all we're supposed to focus on, but I don't notice any fighting.
Yeah, it's not an action movie. I know that's not where we come here, but maybe try a little harder.
I think because it was supposed to be from Bella's perspective, and
right.
she, in the book, she is so out of her mind with
right.
pain because James bit her. So she has vampire venom going through her system and she's just writhing around, screaming, can't even think.
That makes sense.
But she's vaguely aware that Edward and James are fighting.
Right. Yeah. And then different people are coming in and talking to her and she's trying. Yeah, that makes the most sense.
And what happens is Edward gets super mad and he gets the advantage over James. He's about to rip his throat out or something. But his dad's like, Edward, no, it's not our way. But then brings in his other sons and is like, you go kill him now.
You guys do it.
What is that? What's going on right there? Why can't Edward kill him?
I honestly don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah, I thought we all came here to do that.
Yeah.
Why is this not our way?
Remember the mission prep?
Right.
This is the goal. Edward, no, son, no.
It's like this whole protecting Edward from doing anything interesting thing. You know what I mean?
Howard's a deep boy. He's a deep thinker.
Edward too. How hot would it have been for Edward to just rip this guy's head off, like with his thigh muscles, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do it
Just like-
right there. And without his family having shown up, he did it himself, and he did it for Bella.
Right. He's not this little coddled little rich boy who like he goes into depressions. You can't make Edward sad. No, Edward, you can't have this death on your hands. It'll make you all like thoughtful for months and years. We don't want
rips
that.
James's throat out and then drops it onto Bella with his mouth. Like, I did that for you. Like, how? Yeah. Oh, we'd be losing our
It
minds.
is interesting what you just said, Lacey, because it is almost like they're so precious of Edward.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't understand. And it would be interesting if there was this
A
idea
reason.
of like, if Edward is exposed to any violence, he is gone.
Right,
The
right.
eyes go dark and never get him back. So we must keep them on the good side.
Right. We are a 7-person tribe. He is one of the people, and I don't want to make another one. You got to keep that one protected in a special little way.
Yeah, that's what we got the big guy for.
It seems like a real pain in the ass to have a brand new vampire. You know, they have to be extra protective and make sure they don't give away everything. So I don't want a brand new when he's my oldest one.
So Bella got bitten by James on the arm, and she's turning into a vampire. Holy shit, is she going to turn into a vampire? And so Carlisle says to Edward, he's like, you have
Make
a
your
choice to
decision.
make now. This is the climax of the movie, son. You have to choose.
Hey,
turn her
yeah.
into a vampire or suck the venom out of her.
But don't kill her.
Well, like literally, Carlisle is saying, "Her body, your choice, Edward."
Yes.
yes. Yes.
You know
Oh
what
my
I mean?
God.
Because Edward knows that she wants to be
Right.
a vampire at this point. She has talked about it many, many times. And what better time to just be like, well, yeah, it happened.
Yeah. Near
It's
death.
nobody-
Near death. You said near death. I'm near death. How many times do you want me to get near death? The fuck?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
This is the time. But it's about who turned her. It can't be James's vampire. Edward needs to be the one that fucks Bella.
Is that true? Oh, but would that
gotta
actually
be.
make a difference to what kind of vampire you become?
It would to the guy, and that's
Okay.
the whole point of virginity. Does it actually make a difference, Matt? Once you fuck somebody, can you feel who they fuck?
I'm in
Yeah,
the
I think
actual
it's-
rules of the vampires in this world.
It's
telling
just
you.
back to the freshness seal.
The freshness
He
seal.
doesn't want it to
That
be
hymen.
torn.
Oh, that Edward.
No, right. He needs to suck the semen out of Bella's arm and spit it, and not orgasms.
It's like, this didn't happen.
He
yeah.
can't orgasm. He can't come to a climax yet either. They have to do it together. But
He needs
they're
to
waiting
re-virginize
till
her.
marriage.
Oh, what a scumbag. So Edward, hey, he manages to suck the poison out of, and then he starts and he
It's like, look, James got Bella half the way to orgasm. You're gonna finish her off, man? How come on, my boy? And he's like, I can't do it. We're not married.
Bella wakes up in a Phoenix hospital and she's like, what the fuck just happened? And her mom is there. Like, hey, honey, I'm here and your nice boyfriend's asleep over there.
He's making it. He's listening to everything we're saying. That's normal.
You have a broken leg, and here's what happened. Edward and his dad chased you to Phoenix to try to change your mind about leaving Forks.
2 men found you at a hotel where you were trying to flee them, and you fell down a flight of stairs, we believe
No,
their
so
story.
what they said is no. She came to their hotel.
No,
and- yeah,
no, they don't have a hotel. She's the one that left. They went to get her.
yeah, but they checked into a Phoenix hotel, and then she went to their Best Western to go knock on their door to talk to Edward. I could
fine.
be wrong.
You could be wrong.
I might be.
Yeah, I
Because
guess
why
the
is she running
story-
away?
The story is that she fell down 2 flights of stairs
Right.
and went through a window.
What kind of
And,
stairs have a
and
window
no
at the
one
end?
questions this.
Not even gonna go
No,
check
like-
the Best Western? Not gonna like file a suit or like there's
Well,
no like incident report to
guess-
fill out?
I guess they did stage the crime scene. They do mention that.
okay.
Yeah, they push her.
had- we took, after Edward sucked all the venom out, we like took your limp body and we flung it down the stairs.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we flung it through a window.
We
were-
needed a
We
real
flipped it.
break because she doesn't break her leg. She gets a fucking piece of glass through it. So we broke it.
Yeah, they were careful.
You're
I promise.
never going to dance again, but you didn't dance to begin with. So
So, also your dad's here, but you're not going to see him. We're going to cut before you talk to him. So Bella's mom leaves, and then Edward, is like, hey, babe, here I am. And, you got to go back to Jacksonville. I'm too dangerous for you. You do it if you knew what's good for me. And she's like, hell no, I'm going to be with you forever. And he's like, oh, okay, good. Nothing I can say to change your mind.
as if you could.
Actually, I would say, I think Bella does a really good, like, panicked freak out right here, thinking that Edward's actually breaking up with her.
Yeah. But he's testing again. Be like, look, now you
I
see this
hate
is
it.
dangerous.
I hate the way she acts like her entire world is ending.
But
when
I
love
Edward
it.
hints at breaking up with her.
But I mean, if you're a teenager, that's true.
Yeah,
there is nothing else.
I don't know. I would have faked it. I would have been like, fine, leave. I would have called his bluff. Because
You play
Edward's
games.
not going anywhere. Like, he's
Right.
not going anywhere.
That's true. No, but she's not, she's not that calculated. She's not not that I'm saying you are calculated. I'm just she's pure just reaction.
Yeah.
Just like, Edward, no, you can't. Edward, no. So we don't see the reconciliation with Charlie. It's so weird. Anyway, now they're going to the prom.
Got in the movie with dancing. Yeah. So Bella comes down the stairs looking fine. I don't know. I always feel like she should be a little prettier, but no.
She can look better.
She's very feminine and dolled up, and both Charlie and Edward are like, wow, what a woman. And they go to prom, and right away they're both overwhelmed by all the prom and the
this prom is a little promish for
there's
my
a lot
taste.
of people in here, and that's why I'm saying they're both on the spectrum, and it's very cute. So they go outside to get some quiet and dance in the cutest way possible, with Bella standing on his feet because he's strong and she can't dance.
But Lacey,
what?
Before any of that,
What happens?
Edward puts her down on a bench and he's like, hey, I'm going to go away for some reason for a minute.
yes.
And then who comes out of the woods but Jacob? And you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
He showed up at prom to tell Bella that his dad said, you should break up with Edward.
My dad says you should break up with Edward. He paid me $20.
Like, pick your moment. This is not it.
I really like the way Taylor Lautner plays Jacob, because he plays him perfectly. He's just kind of like, hey, I'm like kind of this side character and I have information and exposition to drop, but I'm not really sure about any of this. Like, I know it sounds weird and I recognize that. 'Cause even when he's telling her that, he's kind of laughing. Like, my dad says, stay away from Edward. Old men are weird.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, but now I have $20. I'm going to go to the gas station and get some Surge.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't remember. Is this scene in the book? Does he do this in the book?
I don't remember.
Because
I do feel like he does warn Bella, but I don't remember if it's in
right
the
here.
specific
It
moment.
seems like very much like we know the whole series is building to Edward v. Jacob, so we have to have a Jacob thing happen before the end of the movie.
Well, and we don't have enough money to have a whole nother scene or time. So just have him going on the prom scene. For some fucking reason he's dressed up. Why?
Even though he's not at this
He's
prom.
not going to the prom.
I was at the other prom.
I was trying to blend in. Hey, I'm in prom clothes. All right.
Oh God, but then they're walking away and Edward's like, goodbye, Jacob. And then he says to Bella, I leave you alone for 2 minutes and the wolves descend. But they go into prom and Bella's like, this prom is there's too much dancing and stuff. And he says, the prom is an important rite of passage. I don't want you to miss anything. It's so gross.
It is gross. It's like
and he would know, right? Because let's think about this. Edward has been to hundreds of proms at this point. You're telling me he didn't have a date every single time?
No, this guy's been fucking for 100 years.
He got
just
bored of
constantly. Yes. But I also noticed this whole movie's been threading this Bella doesn't dance thing.
Yeah.
She says it a bunch of times. Edward tries to dance with her, but now she finally does it. It's growth, you see?
She's not even moving. There's no dancing. He's just making her meat puppet. The fucking anyway.
So
he likes her with a broken
Why
foot.
didn't you let me become a vampire? Because you don't know what you're saying you don't want it. And she's like, I want you. Every second I get closer to death.
Yeah, now we get the old lady stuff. Now I hate that whole, I don't know, it just feels very real. This whole but every second I'm older than you and I'm going to be gross. And I don't know. It really hit me hard in the second book.
They do a thing where they really tease you like he's going to bite her. He bends down onto her neck.
Oh, come on.
It's
painful. He's not going to do it right here, Bella. Use your fucking brain. Why would he do it at prom?
Gives her a little kiss. No.
Always the whole vampire thing is always so horny.
It is so
vampires it's just so sexual, and I'm going to bite your neck and drink your bodily juices. Nothing about it is sexy, but it's always painted very sexual.
Oh, it is sexy.
It's the hottest thing ever.
Yeah, it's penetration. It's being sort of coerced against your will, which is, again, guys don't do it, but people do like it.
But a strange thing is we pan out and they're adorable and playing that song, and for some fucking reason Victoria's at the prom.
Yeah,
Why?
the camera pulls back to reveal this
and
lady.
She dressed like a prom member, she's also in the
This is
costuming.
Just like, hey guys, we got a sequel coming. Don't even worry about it. And then
they're setting it up that she, like, the vibes are she is really upset that they killed her boyfriend.
Yeah. It's hard to get a mate that wants to be a vampire and then you can actually tolerate being around them all the time. And also, when you turn someone, you don't know what kind of special powers they're going to get. What if they're annoying? What if my vampire powers are like, I'm good at taxes? I don't want to be with that person for the rest of my life, you know?
I'll tell you who I don't want to be with.
Who?
Alice.
I
That's
love Alice.
everything she says is, don't worry, it's going to go this way. It's like, one, I have no idea if you're telling the truth, but yeah, you're constantly being like, I know.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, no one's ever told Alice something she didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Matt hates people who know things.
Don't know anything.
No, he needs to know all
I
the
do
things.
too. I hate people that know things because I usually don't know anything. So when someone knows everything, I'm always annoyed.
Because
Cut
and
it
you could never know if it's true. You could never know if it's true.
Alice's things change.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see the future, but also the future changes. So it's not the
Why
future.
Are you so fucking cocky, man?
You're not seeing shit.
She's like the astrology girlies, you know?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
she's like, well, it just depends where Jupiter is right now.
Right. I mean,
you
I
know?
can't control the stars. Give me your hand. Yeah, you're good.
Then Radiohead's 15 Steps part starts playing, which rules.
Okay, roll.
That's the end of the movie.
Yay.
I do love that song.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass.
And that album had just come out that I think April. It was a giant deal when it came out. I had no idea the Twilight movie had such a cool song in it. What are our final thoughts and star ratings? We'll start with Rose. Final thoughts on Twilight, and out of 5 stars, what would you give this as a movie, just this individual movie?
Yeah, I would say just from the nostalgia standpoint, I would say like 4.5 stars. I know that seems pretty high for like what it is, but it's just so enjoyable. And I could just watch it and watch it and watch it and kind of get something a little bit different every time, just because I am so willing to just accept how camp it is.
Yes.
And all of the plot holes and all of the silliness just all adds to it. I love it.
Yeah. 4.5 stars.
I give it a 5. Fucking rocks. I love this fucking movie. I don't care if it's stupid that I give it a 5. I give it a 5. I love it. I put it on and I become it. It becomes me. I am Bella.
She becomes
Team
an
Edward.
apple. The apple is on the cover of the and
give it a 5 if you want to get.
I give it a
have
5.
Any sex tonight? You will.
Oh
Tonight.
my gosh.
Do you give it a 5?
No,
He's lying.
No. I give this a 3.5. This is my favorite movie in the series.
Oh, eat a dick. No.
It's not a perfect
It's
movie.
At least a 4.
I think it's really, really well directed. Catherine Hardwicke, I think, is I wish she'd gotten to have to do more blockbusters after this, because I think she really works well on a big budget level and brings a lot of personality to the movie. I think Kristen Stewart or Robert Pattinson, both great. They're great. They were great actors at the time. They've only gotten better with age, and I think that even though these characters are very empty, they make a lot with what they have. Billy Burke is wonderful, and it's a lot of fun. Check it out. Twilight.
You should check it out.
Check out this movie, Twilight.
It's
I don't
neat.
know, 3.5 stars.
It's kind of niche. I feel like it's like this indie movie. You know, a lot of people have heard of it.
Just like the
low
boutique
budget.
I go to called Walmart.
Yeah.
See if you have one.
Maybe we can get Courtney to record
her
a star rating.
I think Courtney has been waiting for this moment the whole episode.
I have.
So tell us, what did you think of Twilight?
I think I said it at the beginning. Like, Twilight is like my comfort film. Like, if I need something to listen to or I need serotonin, I go straight to Twilight. It just reminds me of happier times, and I love it. Like, is it a great cinematic masterpiece? Absolutely not. But again, I'm the human equivalent of a little raccoon. Let me enjoy my trash. So,
What's your star rating?
4.
Oh, wow.
You rated it higher than me. I gave it a 4. And the star that came off is mostly just because it's not my favorite film of the franchise.
Okay.
So there are other Twilight films that get 5s.
Okay.
I think like Eclipse is my favorite of the franchise. and that gets a 5 from me. New Moon is my least favorite, and it gets a 2.
Oh my gosh.
And see, Lacey loves New Moon. I skip, if I ever reread New Moon, I skip the part where Edward's gone.
That's only like half the book.
Yeah, I skip the part where Edward's gone. And it's just because I'm depressed enough on my own. I don't need to also share in Bella's depression.
That's fair.
Like my media is supposed to make the dumb serotonin work, not the opposite.
Mm-hmm. No, fully. That is fair. Okay.
So yeah, it gets a 4 from me. And if anybody would ever like to talk about Twilight or know more about Twilight, I am happy to answer your questions.
All right. The Twilight historian has spoken.
And I did email Stephenie Meyer asking her if vampires can get drunk. I'll let you know if she responds.
Keep us posted.
Veronica Roth never did respond to us.
Yeah, we have a track record of emailing authors, asking them inappropriate questions, and them sending us a cease and desist, but not really bothering to send it.
Yeah, we'll see what Stephenie Meyer does. So I'll keep you updated.
Cool.
Lacey, what's next for us on Load Bearing Beams?
Spice World, that classic cinema.
That classic cinema Spice World.
It's
the Spice Girls movie.
Yes, it spices up your life.
The movie that when I was 10 years old, I said, that's the funniest movie I've ever seen.
And you were a dumb child.
But I'll tell you, even though I said it, I knew I was lying. I was trying to talk myself into it.
You were trying to be like, I got a tingle boner, and I think it's because it was funny.
No, it was, I love the Spice Girls, and they made a movie, so I know that I need to like it, but I don't actually think I liked it that much, but I had to lie and be like, it was so good, it's great.
Got it.
Very curious. I have not seen it in 30 years.
I'm super curious. I can't even remember any of it, but I watched it a million times.
And this movie is not available on streaming.
Oh, damn, we keep doing that.
Yeah, so low key, if you DM me.
Wait, why does it say February 14th for this one?
Don't worry about that.
Okay, typo.
So how are you watching it if it's not on streaming?
I got the DVD.
We own it.
Oh, okay.
So good question, Rose. Totally wouldn't do this, but maybe if you had to like DM me, maybe I could send you a file or something. Totally don't do that, anybody who hears this, but maybe I could help you see this movie.
You might have a torrent affair with them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. All right, Rose, please tell everybody once more about Fiction Fixation and where they can find you.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, so we recap movies. We're both writers, so it's very like two writers shooting the shit about movies. Lacey kindly said it feels like you're watching the movie, and I love that.
Yes.
That's definitely the goal. I want you guys to feel like if you've seen the movie, that you're revisiting it, and if you haven't seen it, then you don't have to.
You don't have to.
You can watch it inside your brain. But yeah, so we are on all the major platforms like Podcast, Spotify, Audible, Podbeam, all of them. So go check us out.
And all over social media as well.
And we'll have links in the description. Rose and Courtney, both great people, very funny, very smart.
Thank you.
You will have a great time listening to it. And thank you for being on our longest episode ever.
Oh my God, it was long. I'm so tired.
What an honor.
Yes, it was an honor. And I'm so glad you were the perfect people because you know this shit really, really well.
Right, yeah, you had something to add to each.
Okay, so please check out Fiction Fixation and then check out Load Bearing Beams. Well, you're doing that right now, but subscribe if you haven't. We're on YouTube, Load Bearing Beams Pod. I'm on Letterboxd. Lacey's on Letterboxd.
We're doing a recap of every Severance episode as it comes out. They are fucking awesome. Watch those too.
On YouTube.
On the YouTube.
Our Severance recap. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/loadbearingbeams. And my band, Rural Route 9, does the music for the show. Please, listen to our music. Download it. Purchase it from iTunes.
Yes.
Buy our CD and import it.
Awesome music.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm always jamming. And the Spielberg music from the summertime, oh my gosh, I would just like rock out in my car every time.
I was thinking Matt needed to make you guys a theme song. I feel like they need one.
Listen, that is a big ask.
He's done it before.
I have
put it out into the ether, zero expectations, but
I do owe Rose like $500 for graphic design help that she gave me like a year ago. So like if you could just, an in-kind kind of a, because like they have a really fun poppy thing that and I feel like you could incorporate that in a really fun way.
I can send you that out. Listen, no expectations.
I would love to do it. It just makes me so nervous because it's so dependent on can I come up with an idea.
Right, because he's got to capture your personality.
And sometimes I can't.
It doesn't
We'll
have
talk,
to be
we'll
long.
talk.
No
It doesn't
worries.
have to be long. I think you think it needs to be a feature-length song. It doesn't.
No.
It could be like 15 seconds.
Yeah. What if I can't come up with a 15-second idea?
Do it!
All right, fine. Anyway, yes, thank you, Rose. And
Thank you,
that's
Rose.
it. Signing off.
Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
Three, four. Everybody, love Americans, love Americans.